G'day, citizens. Welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute, hitting the wrong button again. How you doing, Algared?
I'm alive. It's becoming my standard line. It used to be my standard line anyway, but now
Yes.
it's become more of the
Yeah, just checking.
still alive.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds rather macabre, but
No, it's been a week. I know you've had a bit of a week. I've had one as well, but it's all right. We're getting there. We've got a lot of organisation to do in the background for CitizenCon, you and I too, don't we?
we do.
Yeah.
We do. Come on, I know you want to do it. Show off the new toy.
No.
No, come on.
No. It can wait. I'm deliberately waiting till it's finished. Don't give it
Oh,
away. Give it away.
Oh, yes. Okay, yes. You've got one little bit that you want to.
Yes, I want
put on,
to
make it finished.
fully finished, and then I'll let
Okay.
people see. But yeah,
All right.
I've had a project this week. Let's just leave it at
He's
that.
been working on a project. He's been 3D printing, and I've got to admit, it looks sick.
Yeah. So I'll wait till I've got it all done though, and then I'll show it off.
It's just looking forward to one of the things we need for.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to come all the way from China. The last
what?
piece.
So we don't need it.
That's very nice to have though. It looks very professional.
Yeah, that's right. It will look very professional. So yes. So look forward to that reveal. It's not major, but it's just nice.
Just a nice to have.
It's nice. Just a nice little thing. It's a minor bit of equipment.
Yep.
But it will make life nice.
And I customized it for us. It's like an Inforunners custom piece of equipment, put it that way. So yeah.
That's right.
I'll show you anyway.
So
yeah. Oh, I lost you. That's what that was for. Oh, I just thought you had a stroke again, but no, you've actually frozen. Right. So I'm gonna have to put the bot on, don't I? Always forget.
Last 5 minutes. Yep. Oh,
right,
yep.
You're
Turn
back.
the bot on so we can keep getting answers questions in.
Yep, you're back. By the way.
Yay!
Yep.
I'm still here.
Right.
That one.
Bot is active. Okay, we're good to go on that end. I don't know why the Twitch stream didn't start when the YouTube stream started for some reason, but anyway.
Yes, I did notice that. I saw the YouTube. I actually saw the YouTube one start and was able to shut the sound off before you even started streaming, which was a novelty. I usually don't get that privilege. Hey, Monster. Hey, Machiavelli and the Glass Sword. Lovely to see you, and good to see you, Citizen Scott, as well. Since you've said hi on YouTube.
I have noticed across the board this week, views are down for Star Citizen. I think it's that real quiet period again because people are just kind of sick of waiting. So yeah, and I've just noticed. You notice it on Twitch first. So Australian prime time at the moment is under 1,000, which is usually when it's a sign that it's really quiet. So yeah. I was on the yacht club this week as well. I did say this in one of the episodes we recorded earlier this week as well. But yeah, they wished you all kind of well wishes, speedy recovery, all that type of jazz.
That's always nice. Hello, Mr. Socially Confused. I hope you become unconfused very soon.
Yeah. So get your questions in because there's diddly shit there. No, I think there's one.
There's one which I've stolen from our general chat. Someone had posted a question in there, based off the video that we did yesterday, or from the Inside Star Citizen. And I thought it was relevant, so I thought I'd chuck it in.
Yeah.
So yes, occasionally I do that as well.
So I think it as how do I put this? As Overdrive ends, because the Overdrive has become, I think, slightly long in the tooth. And I think that's because it is just more of the same. But I think as we round that corner this weekend, I think very much soon next weekend, we're going to start off the roll to Invictus because we would literally be in, a month now at best to Invictus, unless you think different.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got to admit, if Inside Star Citizen's info, even though it's building on info we saw at Star Citizen, if they do what they did for the water effects, which was, yes, we saw that at Star Citizen, but it was that and a lot more. if they come across like that in the coming weeks, I'd cope with that.
Yeah.
But
okay.
some of the episodes, even if they've done that, haven't felt like there's new info. It's felt like we've seen this before. And I don't know whether it's just the way I see it, or just that is the case. You know what I mean? But I really felt that yesterday's episode felt like it had a lot more information.
Thing that's leading to it though, like there really hasn't been much new news. It's essentially been an updating or replication from CitizenCon, and that's I don't know. I kind of put that out to the people that are watching as well. Like, are you guys struggling because it's not so much as much of a refresh as it has been previous years? It seems almost like a regurgitation for the last 6 months, and with all the quietness that happened before CitizenCon, it just felt like CitizenCon was this eye of a storm, and it's been essentially, if you kind of just put a pause on those 2 days of CitizenCon, it has easily been the biggest quiet period that I've ever had in the game's history.
There's certainly been a lot of information that feels like it's just a regurgitation or a repeat of what we saw at CitizenCon.
Yeah.
But a couple of the ICs that have come out have been, even though they covered the impact, it's been really good.
Yeah.
And I thought yesterday's was one of those that really expanded on the information.
I guess I'm just saying I was hoping that they would have been talking about new stuff by now. Yep. And I'm hoping as we run into Invictus, that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. I'm hoping like next week's ISC. Well, let's give an example. A juxtaposition. You said last week's was very good. The week before that was bloody terrible, right? They talked about Overdrive, and Overdrive, they should, if they'd put that at the start of the event, it would have been awesome because you would have known what was coming. But putting it at the end was just like, oh man, we already know what all this is. It's a waste of time.
And that was the frustration with the Overdrive initiative episode. There was a lot of good information in there in terms of how they were going forward making the episodes or making the missions, and yet because it was so far late into Overdrive, it was, so what? I don't care.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds like a slap in the face almost to the guys who are working on it. And it's not meant to be that. It's just the frustration of all the information you were telling us. We've been experiencing and playing and doing, and so it's no longer fresh. It's no longer new. You're telling us old hat stuff.
Yeah. So Monster Avery on Twitch goes, I somewhat think CitizenCon definitely built up on hype, and so far they haven't really capitalized on it, in my opinion. They have good progress, and after CitizenCon it feels almost meh. So I think that's kind of, they've really hyped up 323, and if you actually kind of look at it now, everything besides the star map, right, has the gameplay stuff, besides distribution centers, I think that's the other thing, has all been taken out. It is all quality of life stuff. So when that patch hits, like, and I've been playing it, and I know you've been playing it, right? And I know a lot of people here have been playing it, but you get in a new player and you go, there is nothing new gameplay wise. It is all quality of life, which is not a problem, right? But a normal, casual person is going to go, great, see you next time. Because like, there's just, it's got nothing to sustain them. And maybe the distribution centers and maybe some of the FPS stuff with the new gun sights and stuff like that. But it falls a little flat after a big wait, is what I'm trying to say.
I think 3.23 will have a lot more than we expect. We know it's got animals, right? And the monthly report even talked about the space cows.
But where's the gameplay around animals?
Well, don't know yet.
My point.
No, some of them are going to be aggro. We know. I get the impression at least 2 of them are going to be aggro. If we got the space cows, maybe the gathering, maybe the hustling.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. I reckon. I don't reckon the kind of vitalization is going to happen until Invictus happens and they start talking about new ships and stuff like that. Because you and I love ships, right? So that's how I know that you and I are going to get more excited. But then again, the next ship that's most likely coming is the Mirai Pulse, and that don't look too exciting because it's like a Fury in bike form, and I'm just kind of not that interested in that because we've seen so many other hybrids before. I
think for a lot of people, it's those 12 ships from the curtain.
Well, yeah.
So as you said, you'll get those ships and more next year. And
but does that mean they're giving half of us right now at Invictus and the other half, or are they going to splatter them out all over the year? Or are they going to, because in the monthly report it says they've done 10, but like that doesn't mean we're getting them straight away. We also know, I said to you during the week, we also know that they held on to the 400i for 2 years before they released that.
But I think they said at CitizenCon, these will come within the next 12 months.
Yeah.
Now, I think everyone, or most of us, would have thought, oh, they're going to scatter those. We'll have 2 or 3 at Invictus, we'll have 2 or 3 at CitizenCon, and the rest will be scattered throughout the year.
Yeah. I will give you one positive, though. The cargo elevators and stuff like that are not waiting like a full 3 months to the next patch. They are coming in a .x patch. Yeah. It's just like, is that .x patch a month, 2 months? Yeah. And I will say the performance is increasing day by day. In the EPTU, it is like I got on yesterday. It was noticeably better, but you've got to expect a backward step.
Yeah.
When you chuck in new renderers and things like that, and it is noticeably prettier, I think I would say, especially with lighting passes and things like that. But it also takes a performance hit because it looks better. So some people are going to jump in and go, why is this running like shit? And other people are going, oh, why is this running so well? You know, because you're going to get a mix of both. And I can't really put my finger on what is the best way to run it at the moment. Like, I definitely have a performance game when I just keep running it in regular DirectX 11, sorry. But it looks prettier in Vulkan, for example. So you got to pick your battle, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Like, I think when you also consider that in the time that we've had this dead period, we've also had server meshing come a long way.
Yep.
Right, that's massive.
I think
had the jump point successful.
Yeah, I think that's some things to recognize too. There is a lot of background work or back end stuff. And we are talking about tech that is like we didn't even know it was going to exist until like just at CitizenCon. They only knew 3 weeks before CitizenCon.
We knew what they were aiming for, so I do know what they were aiming for, but they finally cracked it at CitizenCon, or just before CitizenCon. They've now got to the point where we've got 800 odd managing to be on a server at the time. That's huge. Yeah. So I think as it's going forward, yes, it feels like a drought. It does feel like a drought. We haven't got any of the new ships that I think most of us would have been expecting. And realistically, that's really what we look forward to, you know, ships and stuff. We're still looking for additional gameplay type aspects, so enhanced scanning. I think enhanced scanning really needs the star map. So that's coming in 3.23. Once they've got that, they can expand on that. So there's a lot of things we're still waiting for that 3.23 to really lock it down. So I think that we can go forward. Am I dreaming? Maybe. But I think it's our perception is that nothing's happening, but a lot really is, and I think that's the key.
You can look at the monthly reports now too, and the Squadron one is lacking content and talking a lot more about polish, but the Star Citizen one's getting more content, so that you can clearly see the shift.
You can see they've been flipped. Yeah. And I said that to you the other week. I said, you look at the monthly reports, but the Squadron 42 is becoming more finish, polish, you know, adding
but it's going, and all I'm saying is it's just the next one after the last has now done it even more so.
And then you go to the PU, and you say, oh, we've taken this from you know, this is built on Squadron, blah, blah, blah. And it just feels a lot more detailed than it was in the past. And that's huge as well. So,
It's just, I think, I don't know about me, like you, but like I'm at this point where I just want new gameplay. I don't want the same old, and Overdrive just really nailed that home for me. Like it was a bunch of quests. It was nice of them to do, right? But it was just a bunch of quests that I'd played for like the last 5+ years.
There were quests in there that I thought, like, you know, the relay stations,
the com relay one after having done the new EVA. And have to go back and do the old one that just highlighted how bad it was. It was like night and day. So it was kind of funny to see that in a way, like to go, hey, look, this is what it was. This is what you're getting. We're going to send you back so you learn we've done something. That's what it felt like.
Like,
so, yeah.
I've done those relay missions in the past. I didn't like them. I kind of was glad I didn't have to do the stuff because I was so slow. You didn't want to wait for me, so you did you did that stuff.
Well, after I could have gone back and forwards 4 times and you took 1 trip, I was like, no, you stay in the bloody ship. I'll be right back. You know.
And that was, because I don't do them. It was okay. How do I move myself around in here again? And then you'd bump a wall and it'd knock you 3 feet the other way. So.
By the way, they are on the channel. We did actually play the game. They are both both called. I can't remember what they're called, but they're basically about Overdrive. You'll find them in the.
Me up. That's probably what it is.
Yeah, they're in the live list on the channel there. If you want to see them, Expat turns up for both of them, and a few other people turn up along the way. I think Piss Poor Pete turns up at one point as well. So yeah, it's a whole bunch of people, and they're helping to get it done.
That's right.
I'm just finding them now. Hold on. So first one is called Catching the Old Man Up in Overdrive, and the second one's called Maximum Effort for Overdrive.
Expat turns up and plays Old Man Hurston security detail. I love that. Yeah. Old Man Hurston loves having security, loves being cared for and all that stuff.
Taking him around in the carrack everywhere, which is interesting. So yeah. Right. We don't have many questions. It's as I said.
I've got to admit, I did prefer and enjoy going around in the Hurricane rather than the Redeemer. The Redeemer for me, isn't it? But
the Redeemer is just a really good ship for that set of missions. You can do literally everything from the box delivery, all the combat, and it just made it so that because you're slow, I could drag your ass in a turret and just take you everywhere. And that's why I wanted to use that, because I'd already done it in the Redeemer already with other people that I was helping, so I just knew it worked.
But if you're doing game with someone, you don't want them to be bought out of brain and sitting in a turret in a Redeemer, you're bought out of your brain. I'm sorry. If you're doing gameplay, you want everyone in the gameplay to be.
I can totally agree, because that's why we talk about the Hammerhead being boring as shit.
And that's honest. Yes, the Redeemer's good. Yes, it's better than being in a Hammerhead. But for me, if it's a choice of a Redeemer or something else, I'd rather be in something else. I'd rather be in a Hurricane or a Carter, for God's sake.
I think one of the things you and I need to talk about too during this week is we need to start organising accommodation for CitizenCon. So you and I are going to start. Yeah. So our friend John Citizen, who is like our man on the ground there, he's been a bit unwell, so I've been waiting for him to get back up on his feet. But we're going to have to move on getting accommodation sorted and an itinerary essentially.
Yep.
And then we're going to get the plane tickets as well. So we've got a lot to do. And I don't want to stuff around because I know it'll end up costing more the longer we take. So you and I have to sit down sometime this week. Especially since you've got another week off, don't you? If I'm not.
Yeah, I've got programming and crap I've got to take care of, and a few things I've got to try and do for school.
Yeah,
but yes, I have another student-free week.
Yeah. So we'll try and put aside a couple of hours at least, and get some stuff organised for that, so I can get that rolling. Right. So
first question.
Yeah, go ahead.
You
want to do that one?
Space Architect. Yep. Space Architect asked us a question in our general chat based off the video from Inside Star Citizen. They said, when you guys think underwater vehicles, so when do you think underwater vehicles will be coming to Star Citizen? Because it's one of the things we postulated. And I honestly can't tell you. CIG have never really said underwater vehicles. But we do know that Cano is a water world. I think Cano 3. I'd have to go a bit of Star Map and have a look, but I think it's Cano 3 as a water world, like full water world. We do know that there's another planet that's got basically water with plants floating on top. And I think both of those would benefit from having underwater vehicles or vehicles that could go underwater. Whether they do that, don't know. I do believe Cano had an underwater city.
Isn't there a completely ocean world. Like they reckon it's just completely water right to the core. There's nothing but water there, and it's some kind of held there by some alien tech. I swear I remember reading that.
I can't remember ever hearing that. But if that's been said by anyone, I think it's been said by players in a bit of hopium and dreaming.
Oh, okay. But yeah,
now, I could be wrong. I could be totally remembering it wrong, but I can't recall ever hearing it.
In a game where there's all this exploration and stuff, it just seems really silly to not include underwater exploration. It's kind of like a free win type of thing. It gives you just so much extra stuff. And you could even have things where you have liquid in space as well, you know.
Yeah. I did get the feeling, and again, I could be remembering wrong. I'll have to go back and look at the space map or the map and look at the world. I think Cano is a full water world.
Yeah.
I think it's solid parts of a poles where it's frozen, and that's where you've got the entrance points to your city that's kind of underwater. Now, I'm going on memory, and it's been a long time since I've actually looked up planetary information, but that's what my memory says. If that's true, if I'm remembering correctly, I would expect there to be underwater vehicles on that, whether it's underwater taxis or like we have on Crusader, with shuttles. But I would expect to be something like that. Will we get underwater vehicles? I would hope so down the track.
Yeah.
Will there be underwater animals? We know there's fish. We know there's crabs. We know there was once a giant leviathan for creature. I don't see why we wouldn't get them. Have CIG said we'll get that gameplay? No.
As I said, it's so much of an extra win. Like there's so much you can do with it. It just makes a lot of sense to do it.
When you put all that effort in, and you've got planets that are underwater or mostly water, to give gameplay to those planets, you will have your animals that live in that area. And so, yeah, have they said we're getting it? Nope. Have they said we're getting underwater animals? Nope. Yeah. But do I expect it? Yep.
It's kind of logic dictates, you know what I mean? Like you can just sit there and kind of see all the free gameplay you get for it. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. And essentially opens up all those planets that do have oceans and stuff like that. And
I don't think, in answer to the question, I don't think we'll get them until we get the underwater worlds. Now, from memory, the system that Cano is in is next to Pyro, which means it could come sooner than we think. Yeah. But I wouldn't expect those vehicles to come until we've got underwater.
Yeah. So Shempasta says
the need is.
Shempasta says LTI fishing boats, but I actually think we'll see. So I always think of the Endeavour cab, being able to go in the Coronas of Suns.
Yeah.
There's probably ships that.
Well, I probably missed.
Hang on. Let me finish, please. So it tells me that there's probably most likely ships that their advantage, like it can go into the Coronas of Suns, they can go underwater, or they have a high tolerance to compression. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I could see that. I could see the if the Endeavour cab is that robust, maybe it can go underwater as well. So maybe our ships can. I don't know. At the moment, though, we touch the water, we blow up. So there's clearly, but I would hope we'd see that. But I don't think we'll see them until those worlds are in, because until that happens, I don't think they're needed. If that makes sense. It'd be nice, but I don't think it's needed.
Right, Socially Confused says, question, have you tried the new placement of the Cuddy tractor beam? And if so, what is your opinion? I did have a look at it with someone, but I don't own a Cuddy Black. So I haven't actually been able to take it out and test boxes and stuff. But from what I can tell, it looks like it's going to work pretty well.
We can do that tonight.
Yeah.
Saturday night seems to be becoming a game night.
Yeah. Well,
night,
yeah, again, the last two overdrives we did on Saturday night, so we might do we might make it a regular gameplay thing for us. So we'll see if we stream tonight, guys, we'll get you guys in and play. But I don't know what we're going to do. Well, I guess the last overdrive thing will be up by that time, won't it? So it's probably already out now, actually.
Actually, yes, the last mission, the big fight. So that will be something we can do. We can look at the I know that.
So it might not be it might not be every Saturday, but when we do, we might make that a regular thing because it's just a day that works for both me and Algared, and it also lines up with a few other people we know. So like expats always got time free. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. No, it's certainly been quite a bit of fun on just chilling, which is nice.
Okay,
so,
Shempass is saying he thought the last mission was after 323 went to the PU. Oh, well, very well could be. We could be completely out of date on that one. So yeah. All right. Well, then we'll have to wait.
I was thinking, we could test the Cuddy tractor beam placement, but that would mean we'd have to be in the PTU or the EPTU of the experimental mode. You know what I mean? Not the Evercardy version, but the
EPTU, as you said.
So we'd have to go in there to check that placement. So
there's no patch at the moment, so it's still the same one they had yesterday. But there wasn't a noticeable improvement in the performance yesterday on that.
Yeah, I haven't been in this week. I've been just feeling washed out and crap. So
all right.
Better. Anyway,
Citizen
next
Scott says, on a scale from iCache to 100 systems, how disappointing are you all about cargo being dropped from 323? As I said, it's going to on a .x patch, and I'm kind of at that whole thing with the game in general. I think I would agree with me, is they tend to not want us to have a bad experience. So if they're dropping it, they're obviously not happy with it, and they probably didn't want to just put the new hangars in and not have the gameplay. So they want to put the full elevator stuff in, and that's why it's being delayed. So I've got no problem with them delaying it because it means they want to do a better job.
Yeah, I'm happy. Like, I know it's counterproductive. I want it. Yes, I want it now. But I'm also happy that they're not putting in a broken system. They are, as you said, wanting us to have a good experience. And I'm sick to death of getting a game that doesn't work. I'm sick to death of finding the bugs in a game that make the game unplayable. It's a pain. So I'm glad to see they're saying, no, we're not putting it in if it's not working. So kudos.
Yeah.
Am I upset? Am I disappointed? Yes, I can say I'm disappointed. Am I upset? No. I think that's probably a better a better way of looking at it. So yeah.
Right, next question by Hell Regen says, as a solo player, what is the biggest base building ship I can use? My hope is to create a drug lab in this game. I think you could kind of use any ship. It's just how well you could do it. And you know, what security space are you in? Because we all obviously know now from the base building that there are 3 levels of base, what do you call it? Space security, I guess you'd call it. And I'd assume you're building in, you know, high security space because you're on your own. But again, like, you can switch stations and get stuff done. They've said that. There's also AI crew. There's also paying other players to help you. Realistically, if you are only you and only yourself, it would be just the handcart because that looks like it's designed for a solo player. But whether you can build, you know, general research or science research kind of things with that size is the question, because we don't know the answers to that yet because they haven't talked about that.
Yeah, my thought is, if you're a solo player and you want to create drugs, you're obviously not a criminal, because you'd have to be in the non-secure space to, if you're a criminal, to be successful, I think.
Yeah.
So I think if you're just a solo player, not working with people, you'd probably want to be more secure.
Yeah, and you'd be making non-illegal drugs. You'd be making, because did they actually say, wait, they say yeah, you can make drugs, but they'd have to be non-illegal drugs, because if you'd just get attacked like crazy if you built a big base and had no security. But you could also work your way up, I guess, and move as you make more and more money and buy more and more defenses, you could move into lower security.
Yeah, and if you're a citizen, you'll be able to have bases or factories in different systems as well.
True.
But my question is, if you're looking at having a drug lab, why wouldn't you just go on Endeavour?
True. That is true, because then you could be mobile.
then you're mobile,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the biggest base ship, I suppose,
And
that's got the facilities to actually make the drugs.
and
So
that is one configuration I looked at. So like biopods, cargo bay, not cargo bay, sorry, landing bay, and then like a general or scientific research. And so you could essentially grow a little bit, make a little bit, and then deliver a little bit. That was
and then move.
yeah, and then move. You know,
So go to where the work is. There's a virus on Terra because terrorists sort of just scum of the earth and create biological diseases that try to that terrorists, they're just horrible. And so you go there to help fix them. So or you go to Stanton because the people on Crusader have got height sickness. So you'd go there and do drugs and move on. But yeah.
So it's kind of like so Citizen Ninja says it's not the size of the vessel that matters, it's how you use it, and that's across the board. But yeah, I if you want to do bigger and better, you're just gonna have to be used to either playing with NPCs or playing with randoms. But the game is clearly wanting you to work with other people. The multi-crew is such a big aspect of this game, and if you really want to be solo, you're going to be tinkering at the low end, almost akin to sitting out in your prospector and mining rocks on your own. And some people, that'll be their jam. They won't be there for the I've just hauled a shit ton of crap. They'll be there for the solo blitz experience. They're just in their own element, doing their own thing. As that comes to base building, you might have to get someone to build you a base, and then you jump into it, and it's covered in turrets, right? And I don't think how do I put this? I don't think there's any reason you can't have a low security space building, but it's still got shit tons of turrets. Do you know what I mean? Like so that might be the case for people that just want to play the game solo. They have it in so there's more security, plus it's also got shitloads of guns, so it's doubly dangerous for anyone that turns up. But it'll cost you, obviously. It'll cost you in power to run it and stuff like that as well.
I'd say at the moment, the only ship I know 100% is a full-on base building ship is the Pioneer. We expect that because of manufacturing, the Galaxy will be a base building ship. We expect there's vehicles that will do that as well. But the only one we know 100% has been said to be a base building ship is the Pioneer. But
no, they've literally had a photo that shows the Galaxy, the MCV, and the little hand trolley thing. So I think it's kind of confirmed now.
They've said they're manufacturing.
Yep.
But not. But the only one that's been put in the past is
they mentioned manufacturing and fabrication for them both. So for me, and I haven't really talked about this with you too extensively, but for me, I think the Galaxy is probably where it's going to be at, just because you get just base building essentially and fabrication with the Pioneer, but the ability to swap the Galaxy out to other things just goes, especially in a single player environment, because then you can.
It's the middle ship, the sweet spot.
Yes.
I kind of agree.
No, well, not just that. It's because you can change those modules, and it just gives you more flexibility, and it can do most of the buildings anyway. It just can't do that largest class that the Pioneer can.
Yeah, my distinction there is like the only one that specifically said base building is the Pioneer. The others have said manufacturing and fabrication. Do we expect that to include base building? Yes. But I agree. I expect the Galaxy to be the sweet spot ship because it's a middle-sized ship, but it's also got that versatility to be a medical bay, a cargo ship, a manufacturing plant, a refinery. And so it's got those other options you could take it into. But anyway.
Okay,
so I would imagine
just reading what Sim Pastor has pasted there. So yeah, basically the new Xenia threat won't start until 2.3 drops. Okay, so we're all in a holding pattern then. Okay, that's fine. But they also said you don't actually need to do that event to qualify for the CCU upgrade for the F7A. So that's all.
No, I think all you needed was to complete the
How many people do you reckon are going to bug out, even though they've done all the missions, and it's going to bug out and not give them the upgrade? I reckon that's going to happen to so many people. Like I have to have done the event 3 times over now, like by helping you and helping other people and stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised if it bugs out because I've done it, you know, extra times and stuff. So we'll see. We'll see.
Oh, it should be fine. Should be fine.
Yeah. Right. HK47
Meatbag manufacturer says.
Meatbag says, in your opinion, what do you hope happens for Invictus to make it a good one? I think they're probably going to have more ships to make up for last year's lack of ships, hopefully. But again, like usually by now we would be doing a show about the ships of Invictus, and quite honestly, it looks like the Mirai Pulse is dropping for 323. You know, so like essentially a month beforehand, or a couple of 3 to 4 weeks before Invictus. So basically, we don't quite know what's coming. You know, the only other one we've got is the Ursa Medivac. There isn't anything that points to that. They've kept it really close to their chest. By now we would know, but we don't. Is what I'm trying to say.
We know VF7A is coming as well after the event, but so that's another one. It could have been, but we know there's not. So yeah, but like you said, that they seem to be holding it close to their chest. So maybe we are going to see stuff. I have heard there was talk about the Zeus being. I think it was the Zeus.
Yeah.
Almost completed.
They're in polishing at the moment, so technically it could almost be done for Invictus, but that would be a pretty big surprise considering we know that they said it was coming at CitizenCon. And I considering the spirits were finished in June, and they held those off until CitizenCon. Yep. And we know they've held ships for ages. I think they'll be quite comfortable holding them until CitizenCon.
If we know that if we expect they're doing the Polaris, the Galaxy, and the...
Yeah, real quick, Bowler, 9999, and all the other 9s, we're just going by what it says in the monthly report. You can go look at it for it yourself. It literally says they are in polishing, which, if they're in polishing, that means they're at the end. You know, so that's crazy town. And there are, there was that...
literally just going on what the monthly report says, so...
I'm going to open my email, so I might make that ding noise, but there was that sneak peek, wasn't there, Algared, that had the...
but if we think of CitizenCon and we think of ships we knew they were working on, like the Galaxy, the Polaris, and the Perseus.
Yep, I told you.
We think of those 3 ships. It could be conceivable that the Zeus is for Invictus, not for CitizenCon. So, if it does, that as he says, that'd be insane. First they polish, then they check. Oh, that's so droll. Scott.
No, that's the... Oh, God, all my emails are coming in now. Sorry for all the bips, everyone.
Yep. I do like your nationalist humour there, Citizen Scott. First they polish, then they check. Yeah, I like it.
Oh my God.
It appeals to my sense of humour.
Yeah, the dad jokes are thick and fast again. What, I'm trying to remember, maybe it was the week before,
it's usually the week before.
I just remember one of the sneak peeks was the chair of the Zeus. Here we go. Might be this one. Next one we go back. Nope. Shit, I don't know where it is.
Well, the Squadron 42 update came out was sent to the phone on the 11th.
Yeah, I don't know which one it is, but I'm sure someone will link it in chat. There's literally a chair, and it's quite done. And one of the developers did confirm it is the seat of the Zeus. And I know you guys that are here now because we're in that quiet period and more hardcore people, so I know you guys have seen it as well. But
Kraken says the Zeus chair was the monthly report.
Monthly report. Okay. Well, then I can probably find it if I go there, but it's been a while. It's not something I exactly store in memory. The monthly report.
No, you avoid reading those because you hate reading.
Yeah.
It's usually I read them and say, wow, look at this.
Was it Squadron, or was it the?
Well, I don't think it's needed for Squadron.
No.
To be honest, I haven't really paid attention to the monthly report this month due to other factors that have been
Hang on, I think I might have
influencing my
switch this
life.
over. Yeah, there we go. That's the one. Thank you for that. Who was that said that?
Kraken.
Thank you, Kraken. But yeah, well, let's be honest, that looks pretty bloody done. And like, you can see the floor, you can see the walls. So like, it's showing you that if the floors are done, chances are the walls are done, chances are the roof is done. You know, cockpit and glass. So that's at a fairly high polish state. And if you actually look, working on where was it? Progress on the RSOZ grey box was completed and all functionality has been validated. All functionality. With the ship currently in its beauty and polish stage, habitation and the central hallways made significant progress and approaching completion. So approaching completion, and that's the bedroom type thing in the central hallways. So you've just got the other rooms. While the cargo hold continues to progress, so that's still what they got to do, with the loading ramp's main piston structure improving rapidly, as well as the ramp interior and exterior, the landing gear is nearly complete, and the overall exterior continues to rest. So it's essentially everything's progressing towards the finish line.
Yeah, they're kind of at the end stages.
Yeah, not saying it's going to be done for Invictus, but I think we'd all agree that's
a possibility.
Well, I think it's done a lot earlier than CitizenCon is all I'm trying to say. You know, like it's 6 months before schedule type of thing. So yeah.
Oh, I put two. They originally it was Polaris, Galaxy, and Perseus, but the three they were working on for the end of the year.
I do. Monster Avery says, if fully functional, I wonder if they are giving Bounty Hunter 2.0 and Bounty Hunter Pod soon. Yeah, I would expect the Marky Mark to come with bounty hunting. I think that was the original plan behind the Zeus, actually, because they did talk about bounty hunting this time last year. Like, that's how long it's been. Like, just so much shit has been pushed back for so long. It's just kind of crazy how...
I wonder if they really want bounty hunting to come with Pyro. Going to the hard area and
I don't know, man. I don't know. But it's just the new gameplay has just been pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and I think a lot of it's got to do with Squadron. Let's be honest. But, Squadron, we know that has to come first because there are financial things tied to it, and the survival of CIG as a development studio heavily relies on getting that thing out the door.
And being awesome.
And it's why the last 2 years have been so hard to cover this game, because they really stopped putting updates into Star Citizen so they could just focus on putting the Squadron, and that's what this first patch is meant to be, isn't it? That rollover. But yeah, I don't know. It's been hard. Go ahead.
Kraken says that Montreal doesn't mess around, and he asks the question. This is Montreal ship team's first ship, right? I don't know. I actually thought that they were really working on planets.
They worked on the cut. They worked on the cutter. They made the cutter series, and they made a couple of other ones as well. So no, that they are pumping them out quite well. And I would assume, having brought behavior online, and they sent that guy up there that worked on a lot of the Argo stuff, I would be willing to bet that the 12 ships that are about to be ready type of thing is heavily coming from. I don't know. I don't know what the percentage is, right? But I would say heavily coming from them, plus a few others from other places. So if you think about it, like Invictus last year, they had the 3 things ready to go. That could be the old guard. So therefore, the other, if there's 10 ships ready to go, the other 7 might be from Montreal.
Yeah. So yeah, I knew they were working on the planet tech, and that was their key area. I wasn't really up on their shipbuilding.
Yeah,
but I don't mind having. I like the idea of there being different shipbuilding places in different countries.
Yep.
Because even though you've got that language or that style, the fact that they're so far removed does give more chance for really distinct looking variations to the ships, if that makes sense. Just
well,
that's how my mind goes. But
once you realize it's the Mirai Pulse and the Mirai Pulse LX, there's 2. And then when you also realize the F7A is probably included in that, there's 3. So there's only 7 left, right? And when you look at it like that, you kind of go, oh, you know? So, and there's nothing to say that some of those aren't variants as well. So they can call it 10, but it's probably, I don't know, 7 or 5 or whatever. But yeah, we just don't know until they land. And I would wager heavily that there's at least 2 variants in there in that last 7.
You just go the yellow curtain, and look at those ones. Even in those, we know there are variants. So,
are they counting the Retaliator as a new ship? The rework?
Yeah, that's another question, isn't it?
Yeah, which is not really new.
Is it an upgrade or a new ship? Yeah.
Well, they had it in the yellow ship video, but it wasn't a new ship, but they were counting it as one. So,
is it a Mark II? Is it a Mark II Retaliator? They're gonna sell, and yeah. They're scary. I got to admit, the prospect of new versions of a ship like a Mark II, which is sold as a Mark II, while the Mark Is are still around,
and the game never ever came out. Yeah, it is a slight worry to me, because that basically means those person ships have been superseded and they never really got to play them properly in the game.
Yep. And if they're not automatically upgraded, it means those people with them are kind of screwed. And as someone who has a lot of ships, that fills me with a tiny bit of dread.
I would hope that they offer.
I wouldn't say dread.
Yeah,
concern.
I am concerned that like when it was $50, I'm like, holy shit! Like I was expecting 15, not 50. And quite honestly, I think a lot of those people should be. A lot of those people should be offered those upgrades for free, personally, because the game never came out. Afterwards, if the game had been out 5 years and they're offering a Mark III as an example, $50 no problem, because they've had 5 years to play it. But when it's not really released, you've never experienced the full functionality of it.
And even though you've had them, you haven't had all the functionality with it, like the tracker and the other stuff is not there. Now, I did notice in one of the little sins when we're looking for the episode for Explorer ships, I came across a little bit of just a tiny little bit of information that talked about the F7A tracker, and so that answered that question we were asking: are there trackers or the variants in lore? And the answer is yes. Will we get them? That's another question. But in lore,
again, if you add those into the thing, the tracker variant and the ghost variant, there's 2 more, so we've gone from 7 to 5, and now it's starting to sound a lot more realistic, isn't it? Because 10 sounds like they've done a shit ton of work, but when you start to count in variants, it just brings that number down. Does that mean there's a Super Hornet variant as well?
Well,
we put it again. Yeah, puts it down to 4 new vehicles all of a sudden. So, again, I'm along the lines of when it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. So 10 vehicles sounds insanely good, or ships and vehicles sounds insane. Well, that's the other thing. How many of them are vehicles?
Yeah, 10 vehicles and ships sounds really good, but how much of that is actually just...
Yeah. So until they land, we just don't know. Let's be honest. We're like last year. I'm expecting 3 vehicles at Invictus. Oh, sorry, 3 new things at Invictus. I would hope finally we get something alien at Alien Week, but I won't hold my breath. So I'd almost expect Alien Week to have a concept, for another alien.
I could see as an alien ship, or for Alien Week, I could see a Mirai ship, because and it's not that they're alien, but it's the Misk/Mirai.
Yep.
One of the aspects of Mirai is that's where the company is leveraging all that alien.
It probably explains why we're most likely getting the Mirai Pulse at 323, so there is room for them to release another Mirai ship at Invictus. I can see the merit of what you're saying.
So I could see that being an Alien Week just because of that, them leveraging the alien tech. But I'd love to see a proper Tavaran ship.
Yeah, so Kraken's saying, depends on how old, though. Once they hit vintage, they go up in price. So he's essentially talking about the Mark I versus the Mark IIs. I don't know if you've noticed, but the Mark I upgrades to the military stuff, They were $400 before this happened. I've seen them going for $700. So they've essentially doubled in value since the Mark II evaluation has dropped, and the Mark II is better in all. It's just the rarity. So they are going to be this rare thing, and let's be honest, you will still be able to earn them in game. You will just have to go through a rep grind quest type of thing and be able to get them. So if you want one of these things, just hold on to your dollars. Spend that $700 somewhere else. Buy a better computer. Think about how much you're gonna have to upgrade your computer between now and 2 to 3 years, whenever this thing's dropping. Just have some common sense, guys. Don't. It's like when I see people go out and they so at the moment there's another one I saw for $900 last week. Someone had an LTI Eclipse with the white skin from the Best in Show. $900, Algared. That's 3 times its initial value. You're paying $600 for a skin.
That's insane. Like, and it's not.
What?
My frustration was,
what the fuck? Like, that is insane.
My frustration with that is that $600 to an investor, basically. It's not going to development.
Yeah, absolutely.
Development got the $250 or $300 for the original Eclipse, and that's it.
Yep.
My frustration with the F7A upgrade, like, I know people will use the grey market for stuff they want, and fine. My frustration with the F7A upgrade is it was a fundraiser ship. I don't think the $20 they originally charged just went to the Veterans Association in America. Now, I know there are people who say, "Oh, it should have gone to the Legacy in Australia," or blah blah. I don't care.
Okay.
In many ways, it would have been nice, but the fact that it was a fundraiser and it's going for $700 or $680 more than it was originally sold for. That's criminal.
So I'm just reading what Monster Avery said, and he's saying that update work on the Legacy ship continued too, with update to the dash cockpit and some extra exterior housings. He's saying that Jake confirmed that was the Tali, so it's not like one of the Hornets or something. That was the Tali. So that's interesting to know that they're still working on it after all this time, because that's like over 18 months now. So that thing's that's probably why they put it in there, because it's probably had a full rework.
It basically has been a rework or a rebuild. Look, if it is a legacy legacy Retaliator, which means everyone who's got a Retaliator gets the updated version. Awesome.
Yeah.
But
Boller
that would be concerned. But
Boller 999 saying $3,000 for a Saber Raven code on eBay. Holy shit. Again, guys, just wait. They'll be available in game. Yeah. It is the I want it now thing. And we always talk about the younger people not having instant gratification, but yeah.
Unfortunately, most gamers are over 30, so it's delayed gratification. It's even my generation have a bit of difficulty dealing with that.
And I'd also think Algared and I both own one, and I think we can both safely say at the moment the ship is not in the best spot anyway. It doesn't have like besides having 2 MPs, it's got lackluster guns compared to the normal Saber because it's got the extra stuff.
Yep.
The data running stuff's not online, so it is literally a ship you can wait for because it's just not in the best state. Yeah. It might see some use in the next patch because I was talking to some of the piracy people and they reckon EMPs might be where it's at in the next patch. So it might see some more use coming up. But again,
when it first came out, Snake used to fly it around a lot, and I killed him because he flew under my Starfarer and then zapped me, and because I put my landing gear down, he got trapped as I was falling down between the landing gear and got crushed and blew up.
I remember.
I was so big at that time. I just took some damage.
Yeah.
He did try and do that to the 890, and the 890 just flickered a little bit. So.
So to my original point, don't waste money on stuff because eventually you'll be able to get it for free.
With the Raven, I don't expect you'd be able to get the Raven as easily in game, but I think you'll easily get a ship that is does exactly the same.
I think you'll be able to. Yeah, well, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm not going to talk about that. I think you're going to be able to get everything rep-wise eventually. I don't know if it's the Intel one or it's a Raven 2.0 or the Squirrel or whatever they want to bloody call it. But
you'll get whatever it can do, you'll be able to get in game. A bit like the was it the Wildfire? When it first came out, it was selling for obscene amount. But you were able to get every component in game and put it on your Super Hornet and have the same ship. Or put it on a regular Hornet and have exactly the same ship. You were able to get the size 5 mount. You were able to put the missile, everything. The only thing you didn't get was the skin. But performance-wise, exactly, you could mirror that. So, yeah. So what's the
Monster Ape. It was just a name I made up. You said you were talking about how they don't reckon I'll sell the Raven. I'm like, well, then they'll just rename it and call it something else. And I just said the Squirrel.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I don't.
Yeah. I think it'll just be the Raven. But you are entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to mine.
Yep.
Doesn't matter at the end of the day. Right, Monster Avery question. Think we will have a few ships at Invictus or just the Mirai? Well, from what we're seeing, the Mirai is scheduled for release in 323. And that's based on things CIG have sent us in the emails they've sent out. That's in emails they've sent out to content creators. So if other content creators have the same email and they're talking about it in the next email, and Invictus is a whole month away, chances are it's coming to 323.
Yeah.
Right.
I pick up his point. He's hoping for Retaliator. Yeah, it'd be nice.
That was the other. I haven't read the rest of that, Algared. So yeah, kind of hoping that the Tali is in it for it as well. Maybe an update for the Legionnaire, I assume he means, because he says Legion, if that isn't at the event. I think you're kind of answering your own question a little bit here, though, Avery, from where you told us about this. Updated work on the Legacy ship continued, implying it's got more to do. So I don't know if that's going to be ready for Invictus. And I put that back to you. Do you honestly think that's going to be ready for an Invictus, or is it a .x patch? I put that back to you to answer your own question, because I look at that and say, if they're still bloody working on this thing, is it going to be ready in time?
And that goes back to the question on the Zeus, because the information on the Zeus, that the Zeus is further along than, or implies to me, the Zeus is further along than the Tali, assuming that from the information, that is a Tali. So,
yeah. Invictus is about a month away, Scott, Citizen Scott. But again, and a lot of these reports are essentially a month behind too. Like they call it the monthly report for March, but this was what they worked on
in February.
Yeah. So again, it's so hard to gauge because you're given enough to hang yourself. Oh yeah, so if they're back here, does that mean they're now here? Like how do you work that out? You don't, because you can't, because you're not given enough to work that out. So yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So so Bola's asking essentially when Invictus is, and it's around 20th of May, late May, and it does move.
Citizen Scott says, based on where we're at right now, using 2020 hindsight, should CIG have done a small Q1 patch? Was it a mistake trying to make 3.23 a massive Q2 patch?
I just think that they were trying to get as much in as possible. And the one thing that comes through anytime you talk to anyone, like most of the people at CIG, they're really passionate. They are motivated by us to get shit done. And I think
I've said for years that I actually thought CitizenCon was as much for them as it was for us.
Yeah, I think it is for them.
But they get that full ability to find out what everyone else is doing in the company, but also get encouraged and hyped up. And we just get caught up in the ride.
I think what you hang on. I think what Health Regen said there about the seat got me sold. They don't really need a new ship, but goddamn, I think across the board that's the case, man. Much like skins, you've got to have enough self-control to say, I can earn this in game. That's the other part of it, and that is what we try to fundamentally teach you guys, is just like people, like you guys that are here have kind of heard what we said, and there are other people that will hear the first thing we say, won't listen to the rest of what we say, and then jump to their own conclusions. But then the people that hear us out, they go, well, this makes logical sense, you know. But you know, I don't know. Time will tell, man. Like, we've been doing this for so long now. We just keep seeing things that we theorized eventually come true, and it's happened again and again and again. I think we're up to about the 7th or 8th one now in a row, Algared, aren't we? Where they just, you know, logic dictates type of stuff. I'm
going to jump Shempaster's question up to the top of the line. Yes.
Yeah.
His question is, did I get the ticket? Yes.
Yeah.
I was very eager to get off the stream last week.
I didn't understand why he wanted to get off until he said, and I went, "Oh yeah, like face
yeah, I'm going. See ya."
Yeah. Health Regen says, "I'm weak. I need it, but my wallet says no." Again, a loaner, fly someone else's. You know, you can fly someone else's enough that it removes the need for that ship, right?
Yeah.
And again, if you love it so much after you've flown it, there's nothing to say you can't change one of your other ships into that one. It's just a little bit of self-control, because again, everyone here can think about this, and I know you've all been here long enough. The way they do things is to tempt you into spending more money. That's how it's all done. And I think Algared's got all the ships, and I'm lucky enough, because we've got the content creator thing, that I can try them all now. It's totally been removed for me personally. But yeah, and Algared owns them, so like between the two of us, we don't have that problem. Well, he's
and
got
yes,
that problem.
I now even own the steel. It's
You gave away my title for next week's show, you bastard. I was going to do that today, and I'm like, no, I can hold off. I'll do it next week, and he's ruined it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But you know, I did melt a whole pile of surplus stuff, and finally upgraded my my pack.
Just while I'm thinking of it too, with what you and Shempaster are saying, can you guys just if you're in Twitch or YouTube and you're going to CitizenCon, I'm just curious to know how many of you intend just a one. Just drop a 1 in chat if you're intending to go to CitizenCon, because that's the other thing. You go on Twitter and Tyler is talking about how they've now, on the second day of the ticket sales, right? So before it even went to public sale, this is just concierge, they had literally sold more tickets than CitizenCon last year. That blows my mind. That's just on concierge alone.
That blows my mind. And what really struck me was how long the tickets were on the second day. How long they hang around. Like day one, they were gone in 60 seconds.
Yeah. Well, again, that was the concierge people, the people that were hardcore, the people that really wanted to go. And then when it out to the public, they were like, I don't care. You know, so
you know, like the premium tickets on the second day were there for hours. Like the second last wave, actually no, the last wave was there 2-3 hours after it had been launched. It was
So we've got what 100+ people watching, right? And I don't know, 120, 130. I'd have to do the math. But long story short, about 130 people watching, right? And 3 people said, wait, 1, 2, 3. 3 people are going. So that kind of puts it in perspective, like at the percentile, right? That'd only be like 1 or 2%. So it's, you know, and it's one thing I find it really funny, Algared. You know how you and I talk about the expense to literally cross the world. The Americans are going, it's too expensive. You know it's expensive when Americans are saying things are expensive, because they have it cheaper than anyone. So yeah, when they turn around and say it's too expensive.
Well, you know, I think is the American dollar worth more than the European or the pound? Or is it?
It's about the same, but you go like for example, if you went to the Philippines, your money goes like 3 times as far if you're American and stuff like that. It's just like outside America, the American dollar is worth so much, it's ridiculous. Well, you know what it's like for us. We almost double our money because we earn it in US dollars, right? Not quite, but close to. What's ours at the moment? Ours is about $65 on the dollar. So that
So the British pound were about 50 cents.
Pound is stronger, Grimshock says. Okay, yeah, so yeah, it is stronger, because generally, well, that's one of the things me and Algared are worried about, because we're going to go there and we buy a sandwich. say that sandwich costs $5, it'll cost us 15.
And we'll go, oh yeah,
Yeah.
Macca's, $5 burger.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you were talking
no
about
worries.
that with
Oh,
your.
crap.
Were you talking about that with
And
your brother or something? And he said it was
yeah,
double.
my brother went. And he was saying he went to Macca's and he was spending money. Yeah, just I guess the same price. You know, £5 instead of $5. He said no problem. And he sat there and went, oh crap. It's actually $10 because of the exchange rate.
Pre-sole, I'll give you a bit of a heads up. Chances are it's going to be in Montreal next year. It may be in Austin, but I think you'll find next year it's more than likely going to be Montreal from things we heard previously. But again, don't take that as gospel. Just be prepared that it might not be Austin, just so you're aware.
Yeah. I could see it being in Montreal. I haven't heard anything definite or otherwise, but
yeah,
I could see it being there because they're becoming a big. Well, even when they were turbulent, they were a fairly big part of the company, and now they're fully integrated, and they're doing planets and ships. I could see them. I could see them having an event. In answer to Citizen Scott's question, wait, surplus? You melted 2 javelins? No, I didn't melt any javelins. That's a scary thing.
Yes,
But javelins will be the last things I melt.
Yeah, because
I know when I melt them, I'm not unmelting them.
Well, we've got that coming up, that FMF that you're organising with the guy that's got 1 more javelin than you. So it'll be interesting to sit down with both of you and kind of talk, hash out that conversation. What are your plans? And I honestly think, like, just from the initial conversation you and I had, it's probably going to be other ships that pop up. Like some other bigger ships. It's
not just other ships. It's got to be
something you really want.
Something I really want. But I've said numerous times, if the Pegasus came out, the javelins are gone. Just because it suits my needs. But yeah, it's it does become the question of what do you do with when you melt them, what do you turn them into?
Yeah, and you don't want to just get more of the same. And again, I think the value, to be honest, the value of a javelin cannot be underestimated once the game is out, because they're going to be one of the hardest things to actually earn, believe it or not. So yeah. I'm just checking the GoFundMe. Nothing. No actual donations this week at all.
Nope.
It's become stagnant. That's fine. We're getting there. We'll get there. Just have to.
If you'd like to help us, build towards the coverage of CitizenCon, that's probably the way to do it.
That project is about the coverage of CitizenCon, by the way. You'll see it when I show you. I'm just waiting for that thing to come from China. It's probably going to be 2 weeks, but I'll show you guys. And I don't know. I don't know if you'll like it or hate it. I got no idea. But Algared liked it, and some friends I showed it to said that's really cool. Just like a personalized thing was really cool. So yeah, I don't know.
So yes, that GoFundMe is for both of us. We actually get comments from both of us saying what we wanted.
Yeah.
So the idea is to help us both get there.
Yeah.
Cover costs, get the equipment we want. So we actually want to have a portable studio so that we can actually not just cover it, but actually cover it.
Maybe I should show that Algared that I brought this week. What do you reckon? Should we show that? You know what I brought? Yeah, I'll go grab it. Give me a sec.
So we've been looking at different tools to make the coverage better and clearer and have quality videos, and how we can do that. And so one of the things we've been looking at was what X is about to show you. We'd actually talked about this for a while.
So I brought this with my own money, but hopefully, like, through the GoFundMe, it can kind of pay us back. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. But yeah, I picked up one of these doohickeys, a DJI Pocket 3. And I am super impressed with this. Probably, if you look real close, you can probably see a bit of.
But one of the things we did like about that when we first saw it was it's got the image stabilization type stuff, so you don't get the jankiness when you're walking.
Even my brother, that's more of a car enthusiast, he was super impressed with how it all works. So he was able to film a bunch of stuff. But like, yeah, you can kind of see the.
can see the camera.
Except if I go too much, it obviously but considering it's the size of a mobile phone.
The camera head reminds me of as it was moving there, reminded me of number 5. You know, Johnny 5. From,
well, it also auto packs itself away and things like that, which is really kind of impressive.
Yeah.
So this just means instead of me having to carry this huge ass DSLR camera around, we can take this and this will connect to a mobile phone, and then we can, so because of the mobile phone, we can connect to the internet. So essentially the plan is to stream from this to mobile phone, from a mobile phone off to a private RMPT server, which is what Twitch and YouTube uses, but we'll do a private one, and then someone will drive it in the background while me and Algared are on the floor. So it'll probably be Lemming or one of the other mods or something like that. And so they'll be playing director that day while we're on the floor.
As FN80 says, it looks kind of cute. Yeah, it reminds me of Johnny 5 from Short Circuit.
Yeah.
Just the way the head was moving.
Yeah. So. Comes with the little microphone-y thing as well. And I've ordered a few little extra sets. So these are the little, pull it out, but these basically clip onto the bottom, and they clip onto the bottom, and they essentially give you extra battery life, and it obviously is a big handle. There's a little tripod and things like that, and there's a whole, I've ordered a little thing that it's a backpack strap, so we can also just put it on the backpack and as we walk around. So if I'm filming Algared, I can put it on my backpack and he
body cam.
Yeah, he can stand there in front of me, and it's got facial tracking and all this kind of stuff. So it's just got all these cool little things in a handheld device that essentially, instead of carrying this big ass camera rig, so we can enjoy CitizenCon more because it's smaller, essentially. That's the plan anyway. So it makes it less work.
From memory, it can do 4K videos as well.
And we're not going to need that, right?
No.
We're like, again, because we're streaming. Yeah, but because we're streaming to you, we might record some things in 4K, because like if it's like the Gala or something like that, something that we're doing offline. But if we're streaming to you guys, we're probably going to do it in 1080p because and the 1080k video is impressive, to say the least. I'm blown away with what this thing is capable of. It's crazy, which is why I brought it. And it came heavily recommended by Expat, believe it or not. So yeah.
Yeah. So that's the type of thing. You know, that's the type of things we've been looking forward to in terms of doing, and what we wanted the GoFundMe for. So the GoFundMe was help us with tickets because the price is expensive, but also we don't just want to go. If we go, we either go for our own pleasure, but if we go, if we're going to work and cover it, we actually want to do it well.
Yeah.
And so we thought, okay, we'll do the GoFundMe, we'll do that, we'll use it to help us get the equipment to bring the equipment up to the standard where we have a portable studio, basically. So
and I may do some testing. So I live in a very picturesque place, to put it mildly, a very hot tourist location in Australia. So I may actually do some testing. So one of these mornings, Algared, I might actually go out to the gorge or something like that and use this to stream one of these episodes, and I can go for a walk around the gorge while we do this. That would require you to do all the questions, but it'd be a good test though, wouldn't it? So I might go out and do a test and see how that goes, and show you guys some of where I live and stuff like that, if you guys are interested. Just test the water, so to speak, and see how this thing runs. And so you can see a little bit of my backyard, and obviously we can do some tests with CitizenCon, if you'll bear with us, that is. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I'm hopeful we can actually do what we want to do from the floor. I haven't really seen super comprehensive coverage from the floor of a CitizenCon yet, and I think you would, like, look, people have tried, but I don't think anyone's pulled it off, and I'm worried that we can't pull it off either. So, but I'm trying to get around that, and it's hard to do that when you're on the other side of the globe. So I'm trying to prep, like, we've got 200, well, less than 200 days now. What is it, down to 190 or something, to prep for this thing? And we've been prepping for it for almost a year before that. So, yeah.
So we have been looking at doing coverage properly, and with quality, and that's been a concern where we could actually pull it off, and we think we can. we thought we can, and we're hoping, you know, that's what we're pushing for. So
yeah.
But that as I said, that's a lot of what the GoFundMe is to help us do to
yeah,
get that equipment and help it get us there and all the rest of it. So
oh shit. Next question, Algared, is by Socially Confused, if you want to read that one.
Yep. So Socially Confused. Have you tried to make each other? So have you tried to make each other with the new character generator? Nope. But I usually make myself.
No, we have not. That was one of the things we were looking at doing. We might, if you remember, because I will forget. Yeah. We'll try and give a ship away for whoever can make one of you or me. And we'll probably try and put that in this week's episode if I remember. So
yeah.
We'll see. Yep.
I have seen a good Walter White.
Oh yeah.
Not quite, but I have seen a good Walter White.
Give me a second. I can probably bring that up, Algared, when you send it to me.
But the goat's wrong. So the eye color's wrong. The goat's wrong. So you know, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good
Put loads. There we go.
So that's a character generator made that.
Very close to Algared.
Yeah, the color's wrong. The goat's too long. Eye color's out. Hair color's wrong. But,
no glasses. Yeah.
No glasses. Although
they got the yellow, but they got the yellow straitjacket right. That's the main thing.
No. It should be Hurston orange.
Oh yeah, okay.
And it should be a suit.
Klesha orange. Yeah.
It's
orange. Yeah.
That's why it's not me, because it's dressed like Execute.
Yeah. Oh, all right. I don't wear yellow. I don't wear clown suits, but all right. Sure.
Right. Monster Avi.
Yeah, go for
What's your take on how long we will see solo Polaris when they release it? Or do you think people will have seen enough engineering claim times to not try it?
Your take on how long we will see solo Polarises when it releases, or do you think people have enough engineering claim times to not to try? I'm gonna be honest. Like in our current implementation of the game, I would hope, right, and I'm probably on some serious copium here, that people are not spawning multiple Polarises and taking them out on their own, because that would crash the server. And I think that's one of the reasons why it really is dependent on server meshing for the Polaris to go in, because that's something people are going to do. And I'd kind of rather hope people would be doing them with groups of other people, but I'm leaving on absolute copium there. Like I'm seeing multiple server crashes because someone spawned seven Polarises got spawned at the same station.
Yeah, I can remember. Even if you back in 219, if you spawned reclaimers, they'd be like, "Who spawned a reclaimer?"
Yeah.
Sorry, we just spawned 9 for.
But there were people deliberately doing it too. Like
we were spawning 9 to do Starfarer skittling.
Not just that though. Like people, there'd be a particular bug if you did a particular certain thing back in the day, and people were deliberately doing it to piss other people off. Things like that. So.
Yep, doing ring runs in the Starfarer around Olisar. The days. I miss Olisar. I actually went to I don't know whether I said it in the stream, but I actually went to Seraphim for the first time while we were doing our live streams in the last week. Well, the week before, because I actually woke up at Seraphim. It was the first time I actually walked around it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's as I said to you before, if they can just put in that custom ASOP terminal, I think it would be fine to call it Olisar, but we'll see.
The answer to that question you blocked off is hair.
Or head. Anyway.
Or head.
Yep. Monster Avery. Yep, go ahead.
You do it. I'll let you.
With the RSI push, how quickly after Polaris is out do you think they will have the Galaxy out? Well, apparently they're already working on the Galaxy. If you read the monthly reports, it's in grey box and stuff like that. My question comes back to not to well, I guess I am hijacking your question, but I actually think we might even see an RSI ship in Invictus. Just based on the speed of which they're working on the Polaris and now onto the Galaxy. there's got to be a small one snuck in there somewhere.
Well, I think the Zeus is a contender. I think the Zeus is the Invictus contender because you've got the Polaris, the Galaxy, and the Perseus. But as the family of ships we're working on. And I think they're
I'll correct on one thing: a new ship.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That small ship that we think that could be anything. Yeah. The new starter ship.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell. So to get back to his original question, it's hard to tell though because we don't know the speed because they're now got more people on it. So, we've had this kind of speed we've kind of been used to, and all of a sudden it looks like it's accelerated. But until they actually come out, we can't judge that acceleration.
I had forgotten that. Earlier I said I didn't know that. The Montreal guys were doing a ship team, but I did know it. I'd just forgotten. And because I remember when they first brought out the first ship, that they finished it so quickly, it was like putting hot coals under people's feet because it was, oh, you say it takes this long? Yeah, we're done. Yeah, we're done.
Well, it was like the Rambler was done. I think it was in September, and they held it out to like December. So yeah.
And Arthur Vanderlei, thank you for the $8. Most appreciated. Never required, never expected, but always appreciated. And if you do have questions, you absolutely must have us answer. Super chat's the way to do it. I don't think
he's ever asked a question. That's the funny thing.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah. Socially Confused says, do you think that the locations in Squadron 42 will be in game? I'd love to see that river and dam or the ship in the lightning clouds. Absolutely. Yes. We know the Orion system is going to be in game, and I believe they said it's set 10 years after Squadron, from memory. Yeah.
Well, the start, the first scene we get when in Squadron, what we saw in the trailer, that was the Siege of Vega. That is the one that basically kicks off Star Citizen. So that attack on Vega from, was it 2015 or 2016 or whenever it was, that's the start of Squadron 42. Before you go to your flight school and come back as a pilot. So you do that. We have that scenario. We do whatever we do in that. We get our right to go to flight school. We come back, and then we arrive on the Stanton and do whatever Stanton is. But yeah.
All right, Monster Avery says, have you seen the new Alpha UEC prices for ships? Had a few surprising personal any takes on them. Me and Algared reported on this in December. We've been talking about this for ages, but nobody heard us back then. And then we talked about it, like it came up in February, and we were like, "Oh, we talked about this 2 months ago," and now it's coming up again, and it's like, "Yeah, we told you this is coming." But yeah,
I think when we first said it, people said we were dreaming, we were idiots.
Yeah. But we've been saying this. We've been saying this for years, so it wasn't news to us because they always said ship prices were going to go up over time, in and out of the game. There are some surprises. I think the most notable one for me was the Corsair and the Connie. Connie at roughly 7 mil, and the Connie at 20, and these things are only like $15 in, or $25 in price difference, or whatever it is. I'd have to go look it up. I think it's 15. It's showing what we were saying before. There is going to be these massive waves of buyer's remorse where I brought this brand of ship, or I brought this ship and it was completely overpriced, like we've been telling you for years. Again, like the people that have been selling this stuff are the marketing team, not the designers, and the designers have a different price thing. I will say one thing though, Algared, the Hammerhead now costs more than the Reclaimer, which is one of those ones I've been spouting for years is ridiculous.
And I think I think a classic one is the pricing of the Perseus. The Perseus boggles my mind when you compare the ship size to the Polaris. It is half a ship, a third of a ship, and it's $25 less or $75 less. It's obscene.
It's like you and I have been saying. We don't want to say we told you so. We don't want to have to say we're going to say we told you so. And now we're getting to the point where we're going to have to go see we told you so.
Yeah. So, So Matt P just puts out the the point that the discounted cutter starter package is not war bond and can be bought with store credit.
Interesting. Is that on the...
He did mention that in one of the, or someone mentioned it in one of the chats, and even Lemming, I think, went, "Oh yeah, that was interesting." It was one of those rare things because I don't think I've seen that happen before.
So is this a new package that I haven't seen because I've been sleeping that dropped today?
It's one that came out that's on the market. I haven't checked it. I just saw it in the chat. So it's a discounted package at the moment.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, this one.
Yep.
And the fact that it's credit is kind of insane.
Like, I don't think it's got LTI.
No, it doesn't.
It's the second time selling, but
6 months insurance, but it's essentially 15% off. Which puts it down to, what was it? It was originally $45, the very, very first one. So I'd have to take, wait, hang on, let's take the Australian tax off. United States.
And then what have you got in the pack as well?
Yeah.
That's the other thing to consider.
Yep. So it drops back to 51. So Star Citizen, the hangar, 6 months insurance, and 1,000 hour for UEC. So it's pretty standard.
It's meh.
Still, $6 over what it was originally worth, but you lose LTI. And I think they said it went up to 55. So that actually is cheaper than what it was after the concept. So I think it went to 55 from memory.
Yeah.
So yeah, and now it's up to what, 60
this today as well.
Was it? No, actually, it did go up to 60. Yeah. Anyway,
so thanks for that, Matt, for bringing that to people's attention. It is anytime you can save money, it can be a bonus,
especially for new players.
Especially for new players, and yes, LTI is nice, but it was never ever anything but a convenience. CIG have been saying that since pre-2014. You know,
I think it's the credit thing though. You know, because that also means you could, if you had a shit ton of credit, you could buy it and essentially you can't gift it to anyone, so there's not.
No.
Yeah, true. You can't gift it. You would have to, and you can't upgrade to it. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. Why would anyone want to buy it with credit though? Yeah, think about it. Just another ship.
It's another ship.
Yeah. Unless you brought it into buyback and then brought it back with cash later to save that saving. That's the only other thing I can think of. But wouldn't
put it to buyback, you'll lose a saving these days.
That's true.
So
I'm just trying to think why it's there for credit. Then maybe it's a mistake. I don't know.
Well, you can buy. Well, it's not war bond. You can buy it with credit, or you can buy it with cash, but it's got a discount. So it's just giving you a little bit more freedom, I suppose. But yeah.
Yeah.
What the Unterschlocken says, do you think? Yep. Do you think Star Citizen 1.0 will be released soon, within 6 months? After Squadron 42, it would make sense from a marketing point of view.
No.
And what you class Squadron Citizen 1.0.
So I think the multiplayer for Squadron 42 will be some form of Battlefield-esque, kind of like Theaters of War. I think they'll have some kind of little multiplayer tacked on. Think like Arena Commander that they can chuck onto the consoles and stuff like that and say, but if you want this as a full MMO experience, you're going to have to come to PC.
I think, will we get Star Citizen 1.0? And I think we'll get that when they're ready. I expect they'll say it's 1.0 once we've got server meshing in a couple more systems, and we can fly to them. I think that's kind of the pillars for having Star Citizen kind of saying is complete. Not with all the systems, but done. I do think that the idea they'll really push Star Citizen once Squadron's out, because the idea will be Squadron comes out, people play it, and then they get drawn into the PU. Do I think they'll do it at Squadron 42 will be console? I expect it to be down the track. And the idea, just like you said, you won't be able to play the PU on a console, but that'll make you go to a PU.
I think it also relies on the foundational, like, you know, we've got the groundwork for Squadron, and now we've got the groundwork for Star Citizen going in. I think we kind of need to have that down, and it's not until 1 or 2 patches out we can start to see the speed of the rollout. And we're just not seeing that yet because that server meshing is just holding up so much shit. And you can't rush that because it's a foundational thing, and if you rush it, you're gonna have to go back and do it again. So take all the time that they need, get that thing working properly. And again, like you said earlier, 800 people servers is a good tip of the hat to things are going pretty well. So let's just see. They were hoping for this year, weren't they, when they said that at CitizenCon? So they're still on. They're probably still on track for that. Whether they hit it or earlier or later, we'll wait and see. So
yeah. But again, just do it right.
Yeah.
I'm sick of getting games that are broken.
Volta says, "What are your speculations? What are your speculations about the Gala event at CitizenCon in Manchester? Meet and greet with Mark Hamill and other Squadron 42 actors, something similar to that. But I also think it might even be a tip of the hat for the things to come the next day. So them talking about, man, if for example, if they were going to do the release of Star Citizen, why wouldn't you do it at a gala? Or not Star Citizen, Squadron 42, why wouldn't you do it at a gala? And then it'll be, and tomorrow this will be playable. Like here's a preview now, and tomorrow it's releasing for everyone. Like, again, you want that big flashy event. There it is.
I think the gala is, well, I've said it in the past, I think the gala is the launch of Squadron 42, and if they can't make that target, it's the release date.
Yeah, at the very least. Yeah.
Do I expect it? Do I hope or think that it's people like the actors? Yeah. That's what makes sense to me.
Yeah. And then the actual question becomes, well, then what is CitizenCon going to be? It's going to be, them talking about the game they've just made for the first time ever. So there's going to be lots of interviews and the flurry of information will come out, like of them just all that stuff they've not been able to talk about will be talked about. And then obviously Star Citizen will be a part of that too. And I'm sure they're going to try and talk about base building and show that type of stuff off. Because again, I haven't talked about any of that stuff since CitizenCon. So yeah, they're clearly holding that close to their chest so they can talk about it at CitizenCon. So,
and my feeling is part of the reason things are being held so close to the chest is because it is such a big event. The fact that when you look at the tickets for CitizenCon, and the last line is, if there was ever a CitizenCon not to miss, this is it.
Yeah.
That is like that to me is like this is the one type.
Yeah. I've never seen it. I've never seen it so definitively written in one sentence. Put it that way.
And then you look at the premium ticket, that little thing, the autograph memento, autograph keepsake, I think it was.
Yeah.
Does that mean it is? No, but it's just all those little things that just make you go,
as you and I call it, connecting the dots.
Yeah, all that circumstantial evidence just seems to build up. So the proof of circumstantial evidence just becomes so much. You go,
well, it's why you and I are going. Put it that way. We always wanted to go to the big one. I'm going to be honest. It would have been better if it was the United States because it would have been cheaper. But that's just where it happens to have fallen. So
and then there was I suppose the only information I've had from CIG itself is I was told that the launch of Squadron would be at Manchester, and it just so happens that the launch,
we're at Manchester,
fits in is at Manchester, and it fits in with a time frame that they were talking about of wanting to get it done. And then you've also got the last year's Chris announces, hey, Squadron is feature complete, and now they're just polishing. And I was saying even last year, look at the monthly reports. It's just all polishing. They're just finishing off. So to me, everything says this year is the launch or the announcement, and I'm living in hope that it's the launch. So am I drinking coke? Am I drinking too much Kool-Aid? Possibly, but yeah.
Yeah, so I was just replying to someone on Twitch that said, "Is there a way to prove CIG have completed all the Overdrive missions?" And I said, "Put in a ticket," because he didn't ask a question. He's new, you can tell. Right. Thoughts on feelings of pipeline cease and desist. I think it turned out to be an April Fool's from memory.
I did hear it was supposedly an April Fool's.
Yeah. So very well played if that's the case.
If it was, yeah. Did I care? No. Because I never really liked leaks anyway. Like even when you were involved, it's don't go. Yeah. No, I don't want to know.
He didn't like me doing it at all. I know that.
I didn't. Yeah. I always thought it could be detrimental to us and our coverage and other stuff, but but that's okay.
3 years ago now, so it's
a different way.
Yeah.
And as an Evercardi, I never liked learning the leaks or doing stuff like that. So
well, as a part of the cease and desist, they said that they'll be closed by April 10th. It's now April 20th in the Down Under, so that means they're at least 9 days past. So I think we can conclude it was.
So they're still functioning. Yeah. Helican says you mentioned Endeavour to be a drug ship, but isn't that too massive for 2 to 3 players?
Yes, it could be massive for 2 to 3 players, but again, go ahead.
I mentioned that in light of what is the biggest base building ship I can use to build a drug lab? Why do you need it? And my response was kind of, why do you need to have the biggest base building ship to build a drug lab when you can actually just use an Endeavour?
I think the other part of this Algared that's missing is there's really only 2 science ships in the game. So what Algared is kind of saying is, why do you need a base when you could have a mobile ship? So pick ship name that doesn't exist yet. That could be a drug.
What you said though, you said what I'm basically saying. No, what I was saying.
No, you were talking about the Endeavour specifically, and what I'm saying then is that there are 2 science ships clearly missing, and it could be one of those.
Yeah. So the Endeavour's a really big one.
And you were talking about having a mobile base rather than a fixed one.
Yeah. But in terms of a ship to do drugs, as you were saying, we actually think there's a couple in between the Reliant and the Endeavour, and we just don't have them yet. So
the Sen and the Endeavour, but we again there's so many professions like the Endeavour itself. It's got biopods. It's the only ship that's got biopods. Where are all the other farming ships? And that's probably going to be a thing. Again, there's just so much shit that is not in because. It's the vagueness of it. Like if they spell out all this shit, that's shit they've got to commit to. And so they've learned over time not to commit to stuff because we hold them to account. I can tell you now, a ship like the Endeavour would never come out in the modern ship crafting process. There's a reason why John Crew eyes literally kind of roll in his head every time he talks about it. And it's because it's just such a daunting ship. It just does too much, which is another reason why we recommend it so much.
Yeah, look, at its price point and what it can do, it is a steal, and not a steal as in the steal.
It's only $20 from that to a steal, from steal to that. That kind of
it is an absolute gift of a ship, and in terms of best value ships, I think that's for cash. That's probably the best one.
Well, put it this way, Algared, if they ever do like a what do you call it? Like a what do they call that? They call it an Easter egg to me and you. I hope that it's on the Endeavour.
Yeah. Because it's people say we are the cult of the Endeavour and the Church of the Crucible, or vice versa. Take your pick. But and basically because those 2 ships are going to grow, but the Endeavour by far is the best ship. My thought is that the crew count for that ship will go up. The crew required to run that ship will go up. But, if you're after a ship and you're in safe space and you're doing a drug lab, then you could probably do it with a skeleton crew or one crew, you and half a dozen NPCs, depending on how many you can run. But
I think the crew count also depends on what it's doing. Like the hospital's probably got more crew than, say, the cargo variant, Zul says, isn't the crime that Drake doesn't have a capital drug ship? Well, what's to say the Kraken can't carry drugs in its cargo hold? It can't sell them in the privateer variant.
Well, my thought was...
What makes a ship a drug ship? It doesn't have to make drugs to be a drug ship, is my point.
And the fact that the Kraken Privateer has that private seller's room.
Yep, he's not wrong.
So,
what do you think they're selling in there? Like, besides slaves and antiquities and all, it's clearly drugs.
No, it's not Uber girls, because Old Man Person doesn't sell those.
No, he just gets them for free.
He has a monopoly on them. Certainly doesn't. Yeah,
there's a reason why they're called slaves. Anyway,
but you look at the Connie. The Connie Taurus has a private storage room. So which can't be scanned. So you've got to go in and manually check it. That's if that can't be used as a drug ship, I don't know what can.
Same as the 400i, it's temperature controlled. It goes on and on. Like any ship can be a drug ship because it's just essentially cargo. That's
Yep. And any ship can be used for criminal endeavors.
Yeah, it's very, very narrow. Narrow viewpoint. If you can't open it and look at it from different.
Yeah.
HK47 says, do you think they should remove the Mark 1 from the storefront and in-game stores, making it rare, giving it value and old classic car that maybe people can find in the Versa store? We can only really kind of speculate on exactly how they're treating it, but when you see a new shiny that's an updated version next to the old one, my first process goes to, are they going to maintain the old version as much as they maintain the new one? And you've got to lean towards no, they're not. Because if you think of any game in history that has come out, the sequel always keep getting updates and the old one is left because they're just like, well, we're making money out of this one. We're not making money out of this one. And if you look at it, why are they going to keep... No one's going to be buying the Mark 1 when they can be buying the Mark 2. You know what I mean? And I know what Aaron's about to say, but go ahead and say it. No, go ahead and say it, because I know it. Go ahead, and I'll tell you if I was right. Go ahead, go on.
No, you say what I'm going to say.
No. Go ahead.
No.
Come on. I know what you're going to say, because I know you so well, because I was thinking it too, but go ahead.
No, tell me what you're going to say.
No.
No.
All right, next question then, since you don't want to answer that one. Right, Citizen Scott says, will they jack the base tally price up at Invictus? Should anyone who wants to get one get a grey market CCU before then? I did just that. I picked up a $15 CCU. I can't even remember what ship it's from. And I'm just sitting on it in case it does. And I just got the base variant. I don't necessarily think it will jump, mainly because the modules aren't that cheap either. Like, I think one of them was, and not even the bomber variant, was $60. Like the seat one, the one for the Marines, was like $60, wasn't it, Algared?
I would have to go back and have a look.
I've got it in buyback. I can go have a look.
But they weren't cheap. The cargo ones were fairly cheap. The living quarters were fairly cheap. The troop transport, and that was only available for the front module, was expensive, and the bomber variants, the bomber modules were quite expensive from memory. So
let's dive back into the hell of buyback. Let's see how far back we can go. It'll be right near the end, I'm sure. Most of mine is just skins now. But we've gone too far. We flew too close to the sun. No, this is roughly where it should be. No, it's going to be...
While you're scrolling through that, I'll answer the next question.
Yep.
So, what do you think? This is Michael D. Senzo says, what do you think is holding back the Ranger from being in game?
The physics of the wheels. And it's 2 wheels, not 4, so it's not like just copying the Cyclone. It's got to have its own independent thing.
Yep, and it's small.
Yep.
And they've probably got the physics of the ground stuff not working right and bouncing all over the place.
And what gameplay do you get out of one little bike compared to something else for less work?
And if we make something bigger, we can sell it for more.
Yep, new shiny. again.
So big new shiny makes more money than small new shiny. So I think all of those reasons get jumped into. So Lemming says the bomber modules were 125. What was the transport, Lemming? Do you know?
Yeah, I remember it being 60 off my head, but yeah, I'm struggling to find it, to be honest with you, because I know these were before that, but I didn't find it on the last page, so I'm really confused. So I've already missed them somehow. It should be here on this page, but it is not. Let's try an old search retail. Oh, there it is. Dropship module, buyback.
35, as you think?
75.
75, there you go. So I think that's the living quarters you're looking at, Lemming.
Yeah. So that's, no, that's the dropship module. The living quarters is a different one again.
Yeah, that's what I said. Lemming said 35, I think. So I think that was
there's two cargo modules front and back. This one, the living quarters, and then the two torpedo ones. That's all of them. So yeah, and you can mix and match on those. But like $75 for one module is pretty insane. If you do the math, like that's a whole nother ship, and it's a room. You know, so yeah, I don't know how I feel about them. I kind of hope they don't sell a lot of this shit, to be honest, because it seems insane. Like, I've brought this ship at, well, again, say you brought the full bomber, right? Let's take the base variant out of it, because the base variant is not a common thing. Well, they've never sold another base variant. Let's put it that way, right? So, to take the bomber and then go back and buy the other modules, that puts that ship like whole class up. So it now goes from like a $300 ship. You know, if you were to buy, what would you be buying? You'd be buying like, you know, this and that. So that's like $110. And then if you bought the two cargo ones, you see where I'm going. Like it's jumped by another $200. It's essentially put it to almost like a $500 ship if you want the complete suite. It's the Retaliator master set. That's nuts. And that is what I think they will sell Algared. They'll go, here's the Retaliator master set, $500, bang. With LTI. With LTI, because it's brand new. They've never sold a master set.
Yep. And that's how they'll get around doing an LTI Retaliator. Yeah.
Yep. And that's why they're probably right.
So yeah, the tally base is about 150. So what X is saying is if you buy the tally with the bomber, which is what?
300.
300.
Yep.
And then you add on the dropship module for the front and the two cargo modules for the back. You're adding,
and the living quarter one as well.
Yeah, and the two living quarter ones. So
I don't think there's two. I only think there's one. I think there's so essentially it was designed so you have the dropship module and the living quarters module, because the living quarters is what keeps the Marines alive. So they're meant to go together. Then there was two cargo ones that are meant to go together, and then the two bomber ones that are meant to go together. Well, that's what
the only one I recall. We'll have to check it, because the only one I recall there was one of was the dropship module. The others were 222. But
yeah, I don't remember. I only remember there being one living quarters and one dropship. But again, semantics.
I remember differently.
But the point, the point is it drastically puts. Say what you were going to say before we got sidetracked.
Yeah, if you have to buy, if you've got the bomber and you buy the living quarters, the dropship, and the cargo, that's another $300 or $400. You know, it ends up being $200 or $300 extra. So you end up with a $500 ship. So yeah, and that becomes insane in terms of price. So yeah.
All right. What's the next one, Algared?
Next question.
I was going to say real quick, we've only got 5 questions left, and we've got like an hour and 10 minutes to go. So if you want to get in a question, now is the time, because I am happy to go back to bed. I don't know about Algared, but yeah. Living quarters is both front and back. Thank you, Lemming. I was stand corrected. I do get things wrong. I am only human. All right. Algared, do you want to do the next question, please?
Yeah, so Scott says some people think the Legionnaire will come to game without any hacking function at all. What do you think?
I think they're really trying to resist that.
Yep.
And if it doesn't come without the hacking, it'll definitely come with the docking, so they can justify its release.
Yep.
And I could totally see that being a thing. So like docking with the Idris and the Legionnaire to kind of board it, because isn't that what we're about to get in this Xeno threat? You know, essentially attacking the Idris.
Yeah. Yeah, so that'll be interesting whether we're actually boarding an Idris too with the Xeno threat. With the big patch. Hey, they could even do we're capturing a javelin. Never know. But yeah. Have you seen Citizen Head website? No.
There's a head website? What is this like for the character
I'm
creator?
assuming he's talking about heads that people have made.
No.
I'm guessing.
Shoot us a link. We'll have a look at it. Why not?
Yep.
Citizen
Scott. Oh, we've just done that one.
Yep. So Pre-Sol says, is 1.0 when there will be no longer be any wipes? I think that is safe to assume that. Algared, would you kind of agree with
that? Yes and no. The goal is always to get to the point where they don't do wipes, but there's always a situation where they could possibly be where they need to do a wipe.
Yeah, I think they would be trying, if they did that, it would be an emergency situation. I think they would be very adamant to try and not do that. Once they've said
I'm not saying
once they've said it's released, I think they'll be trying to do everything they can not to do it.
Absolutely.
But Algared is right. There might be an emergency situation where they just can't help it.
You never say never, but the goal is no more wipes. But,
and I'd also assume there'd be some form of compensation if they had to do it.
And we already know they've been able to break things down so they can do partial wipes of areas. So, and I imagine to do that type of thing before they did. You know, if they had to do a major wipe, it'd be because it was.
Yeah, I would consider 1.0 release Pre-Sol.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Aurelius Indominus says, question, what kind of keepsake could it be? Something we've talked about a fair bit, but could it be a bunch of signatures from CIG devs? Could it be a poster that you just walk around and get people to sign?
Could it be a signed brochure? You know, that the actual CitizenCon brochure that's been signed by.
Yeah, it could be anything. We really don't know. But all we do know is what they say in the ticket thing is the Gala is a fairly small event. You know, we know. I think it was from last year. There was 1,300 VIPs last year. That's not a small amount. That's not VIP. That's just taking money because you can. VIPs in my book would be like 100 or 200 people. But from what we know of the Gala, it is going to be a much smaller event, like 100 to 200 people. So, yeah.
We know they're doing shuttle runs to check out the studio at that thing. The other thing I can say is that last year, when Sandy was talking about CitizenCon at Manchester, she said there'd probably be a very small gathering. We'll have a small gathering at Manchester. And my thought was, it's going to be a very small CitizenCon. Clearly, she was talking. I'm assuming now she was talking or thinking Gala rather than CitizenCon at all. But
I think you could safely assume to Algared that the Gala is going to be televised, so to speak, live streamed or whatever.
If it is the launch with lots of stars, yes. But your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
Like I'm living in. I've got to admit, with the things for CitizenCon, most of the time I'm living in a bit of hopium.
It's too vague at the moment.
It is.
They'll probably talk about it more. Well, we'll put it this way: if they're going to sell tickets, they're obviously going to talk about it. So they'll I think that'll. You're pretty much going to have to tell people what it is to get them to buy tickets to it. Yeah. So. Yeah, it's
you would.
All right. UMB 694. Do you think we will see the Polaris at Invictus launch week and maybe Apollo? That's a good one. The Apollo. I haven't thought about that one. Polaris, no. That's CitizenCon.
Yeah, I think CitizenCon for Polaris. My guess is CitizenCon for Polaris, Galaxy, and Perseus, because they're the 3 family ships that are working.
Well, mainly the Polaris because of server meshing. We just can't get it before server meshing. The game just can't handle it right now.
But
unless they had like a singular event, kind of like Xenothreat, but it's a Polaris instead of an Idris. But yeah, we'll see. As for the Apollo, was in grey box at the end of last year. Do the timeline. It is possible. It is possible. And it is a smaller ship.
Zeus.
They were working on the RSI. They said 10 ships are almost ready. I think it would be safe to assume the Apollo's in that 10 now.
Would be in that mix, yeah.
Yeah. So we've now taken it down to 6.
And they did say, they did say from the curtain, these ships and more.
Yeah.
These ships will be next year and more. So again, that still puts the Apollo in that mix of being among those ships. So yeah.
Actually, I just realized if you chuck the Ursa Medivac in that, we're now down to 5. So I'm like whittling it down to what they could be. Yeah, I just need those last 5 ships when we do the ships of Invictus video. But well, not really. But I don't, not to say we're going to get all of them at Invictus, but yeah, Apollo at Invictus. Would you say that after the links? I could. Just to put that question to you. What do you reckon? Do you think like would they sell the Apollo at Invictus, Algared? Wait, have I lost you and you're frozen?
No. I was just trying to read a question and sorry, I've got.
Being a rude bastard. Okay, fine. Right. Answer the bloody question.
I've learned from a master.
Apollo Invictus, a possibility? Yes.
I already said yeah.
Oh, okay.
Apollo and I could see Apollo and Zeus possibly. They're 2 ships I could think just based on things we've seen in terms of the Zeus being fine.
They said the Zeus was coming at CitizenCon, so I don't know whether they held their guns or not is another thing. I don't know. We'll see. Again, holding off the gameplay of the marquee mark until bounty hunting is in, because I could see bounty hunting coming at CitizenCon too. It makes more sense to me. I won't rule it out, but I think it.
I would love. Yeah. What I would love to see is, especially if CitizenCon is Squadron, but Invictus is the jump point and Pyro. In which case, that to me would say Zeus, because I think that ties in more with the bounty hunting.
I don't think we're getting jump point until server meshing. So yeah.
But that's me living in hopium.
And their plan for server meshing was mid-year, so that puts it past Invictus, unfortunately.
Yeah. But like I said, that's me living in hopium. That's pure.
I think it's
best world scenario.
I think it's the same thing with the Zeus though. And the other thing is, if you talk about 10 new ships rowing completion, I just realized 3 of those is Zeus. Now we're down to 2.
Yep.
And is one of those the ST? Now we're down to 1. See where I'm going very quickly. It's not hard to work these out when you go back and backtrack it. So we're down to 1 new ship, and guess what? That 1 new ship, I'd bet money it's that RSI one in the silhouette image.
Yep, I wouldn't be surprised. And
that's all 10. Yep. Done. We're done.
And
we're done. Bye.
My family ship's kind of taken care of.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when you start thinking about this, how they all just roll out. So yeah, I don't know. Be interesting to see, but like again, I think my speculation is probably wrong there in some regards. I'd hope to see 1 new ship at Invictus, and I think sadly it's got to be that RSI. Well, the small ship from the silhouette video.
Yep.
And I think the speculation on it being RSI is highly likely.
Yeah, it could be, and for the same reasons we've talked about. I think it's most likely it just fits with the fact that they're working on RSI ships. It's got language for half a dozen companies, so it could be. But yeah, that's a good choice for a small ship for CitizenCon for Invictus. Do we get anything else? Boston Scott in chat says, when they get server meshing and we've got 1,000 people per server, or he said 100k players per shard, that's going to change the game. When we get 800 people.
That'll change the game. Yeah,
that's going to change the game.
Yeah,
because at the moment we've just got 100. So when you double, when you quadruple, did
I say AIE again? I meant IAE. Sorry, Pete.
Yep.
It drives Pete nuts. Sorry, Pete.
Yep. I just ignore it now. I'm just so used to you doing it. You've got me doing it as well.
The Expo, I think, is what I kept trying to go to. The Expo. Sorry, Pete. It's just ingrained in for me for my time at the AIE. Sorry. Yeah, IAE. And AIE rolls off my tongue a lot easier than IAE. So yeah. And it's all vowels. I don't know if you've noticed. They're all three of them are vowels.
Yep.
So it's just a little weird. All right. What do we down to the last 7 questions now. So yeah, we've got an hour to go. So if you want to get your question in, please feel free to do so. Algared, go for it.
Yep. So Sangrapper says, any thoughts on the upcoming Alien Week, or has this been forgotten? No, we haven't forgotten it. We did talk about it earlier. With the upcoming 3.23 and Invictus launch week.
We haven't heard anything about the Raelian, but they were meant to be going on from the Santok to the Raelian. So I put this to you, Algared. Do you think they could have done that from December to now? I don't think it's kind of possible. Seems kind of quick for an alien ship. I could be wrong.
If, if Montreal's doing it, yeah.
Yeah. The rest of CIG is slow as shit, but Montreal, yeah.
Yeah.
Just the way you said it, that's what it sounded like. Yeah.
Oh, well, but they have kind of it feels like they've just shown, yeah, we can get the pipeline working and just shoot stuff out. And the Scout was the Carter Scout, and those ships are pretty nice looking ships, and if they did those, yeah, man,
yep.
So and I did suggest that possibly, you could see Mirai possibly being in that mix as well, just because that is the branch of MISC they're using that as a way to really leverage all that alien tech they've got. So I'd love to see another Tavaran ship. So there are possibilities, but yeah, I think.
Yeah, you'll probably see something at Alien Week, like a concept at the very least, I reckon. But again, we haven't had we've assumed that the last 2 years and they did nothing. So
yeah, that's right. But to go back to your question, yeah, I think definitely the Raelian or Raelian or however you want to say it,
or at least an update on the Raelian for at least an update on it, like they've done with the Banner Merchantman in previous years and stuff like that. So yeah. Luix Oz, I think it's meant to be like a spin on Linux Oz. What about the Galaxy? Do you think there'll be an exploration hacking science module? Because that gameplay seems very, very far off. I think the other side of the coin that we often talk about here is the Caterpillar. The Caterpillar and the Galaxy are clearly sharing modules now, so to speak. And I think whatever the Galaxy doesn't get, the Caterpillar, and another way we could look at this is lawful, unlawful, or however you want to look at Algared. But I would, if I went hacking, that would go to the Caterpillar.
Yeah, and I think that whatever they do, I think is going to tie in with how they redevelop the Caterpillar, and I think the Caterpillar needs a.
Ooh, we lost him. Science though and exploration, I think that would go more towards the Galaxy. But again, they've never mentioned that, so we'll have to kind of wait. But Algared will be back right about. There
I don't think.
You're saying go ahead.
100% agree with what you're saying. Yeah, I think they'll split it. I think the Caterpillar really does need a rework. I don't think the idea of all those little modules for the cat will work.
Yeah,
I think they're going to change that.
Yeah.
We'll see. I could be wrong.
Yeah, and I could be too. I agree with you. We've talked about it several times. So,
but I think they'll make the cab of a Caterpillar be able to be separate and then literally just fly up to a preset body that and lock on like a semi-trailer hooking up to a truck.
I think that's kind of where you and I disagree. I think they're just going to make it so the nose changes, so to speak, as in all 4 cargo modules and the nose. I think that'll just swap off and you put a different one on. I think the back will always be the same and the module will always be the same.
But the cab is separate, so I could see the cab being like the tractor.
But then that makes it a whole different ship because the Caterpillar is the module and the back end. So I don't know. Well, they can do what they want, but
they can do whatever. There's different ways they could look at it. But I think whatever they'll split along those lawful, unlawful lines. I think because so many people who are Drake want to be pirates.
Yeah.
And so I think
one of the ones you and I talked about was like a salvage module seems pretty no-brainer for the
Yeah.
Caterpillar. Being Drake, and there's not a repair module / salvage module at that size, so putting it on the Caterpillar, much like putting base building and refining on the Galaxy, it's the same thing. You would put a salvage / repair module on the Caterpillar. It makes a lot of sense. You can put it into a multi, have different modules. So, and they both work for Drake. I can see a repair ship, and I can see the salvage. It's a no-brainer to me.
And Drake's head office on Magnus is basically a salvage yard.
Yeah.
So they do that. That's kind of why their ships kind of have that kind of patched together look. But that's the impression I've always got. They're kind of salvaging, putting bits together and building stuff.
And they did have a medical. So if you go back and look at the old videos, Algared and I did one on this as well. They had 11 different modules. They didn't spell every single one of them out, but one of them was a medical module. And that's clearly now gone to the Galaxy. Why would you have another medical module on the same size ship, large?
Yeah.
And two of them, you wouldn't. So it's clearly now that they've made the Galaxy because they've essentially kind of looked at the Caterpillar and gone, there's room here to share these across two ships, or what, this is speculation on our part, but two ships that are literally, I think they're like 2 meters length in difference, and they both take the same pad. Like, it's pretty obvious that they both happen to be modular, and one's Drake and one's RSI. Like, RSI is only one step off Origin. Like, you can connect the dots. It's pretty obvious that's where they're going. I'm not saying this to you, Algared.
I'm just agreeing.
Because you and I talked about it to death.
Your dot joining.
It is the dot joining. So you go back and look at those 11 things, you start to see that, wait, hang on, 3 or 4 of those are now on I think the only 2 new ones was the refinery and the base building, Algared, that have gone to the medical and the cargo. Well, the cargo is general, but the medical was definitely on the Caterpillar. And I think that's been taken off now. What was the other one? The armory? There was an armory one?
There was an armory. There was basically a troop transport, and the troop transport idea, believe it or not, actually fits in with the original concept of the Caterpillar. If you read the original concept, it was supposed to be the evil troop transport.
And there was the search and rescue thing, which was where like a human cannon, like an EVA cannon, fired you across so you could board other people's ships, which leads in.
Stupid idea.
It sounds stupid, but it also sounds very fun. Like, if you're firing a whole, how they were talking about like salvoing people, like firing shots out of the side of the cat. Imagine if it was just all these sling things, and you just open the doors and just shoot like 20 people at the other ship, and they all just board it. And that's like the old piracy thing where you get the hook and you
you swing across. It's very Star Trek. We've got to jump across the ship, and what happens if we miss the door? We splat. I just thought it was a stupid idea. As much as I like that idea, as much as I like the hot tub on the Phoenix, and you know how much I love that.
He loves it a lot.
Yeah, don't. It's the worst idea ever. I've tried to rationalize why it's there. The only thing I can come up with is that it's part of a cooling system to actually help internalize the user.
How can you not figure that out? It's just extravagance. That's what luxury is in this game. It's just extravagant stupidity. It doesn't need to make sense.
I can't stand it. I want to be able to rip it out and not have it, and be able to put something else in. That's what luxury is. But yeah.
What are we Carlos 72 says, question, I have 2 Tumbril Rangers as LTI tokens. What would be the upgrade to buy from there to a ship? That really comes down to what ships you want, man. So when we do a Fix My Fleet, the first thing we look at is what gameplay you want, and then that tailors into the ships that that strongly talk about the gameplay you want, and then it becomes things like budget.
Once you've worked out, you go the starting ship, the end ship, and then you work at just filling in the gaps.
And also budget and things like that. So it's not like we're going to turn around and go, oh, you've got a Ranger, we think you should get a Kraken. Like, it doesn't.
No,
it really it's how
you. I know people think it's not even Kraken. It's you need to get an Endeavor. No, it's not even that. It really the end ships usually are either really keyed into the profession the person wants to do, or the person says, I really want that ship.
So I'm just replying to Pissball Pete here. He says, I'm with Al on this. Hot tub is daft. I think you're both daft. You're carrying on about a hot tub on the Phoenix, yet the 890 jump has a whole bloody swimming pool.
I think that's stupid as well.
Yeah. And it just takes up so much space. I would rather you lose the swimming pool and it give more space to the atrium. Because the atrium is just cramped as shit and it makes no sense.
I don't argue against that at all.
And at least an atrium is more versatile and usable for different events. So
yeah. Look, I try to make sense of why or how what rationale you could use for it, and to me, it's they are part of a cooling system, water reclamation system, or whatever. But I think they're worthless ideas. I can't stand them.
Yeah. All right. So Kraken says, so Carlos, if you want to kind of answer your question about the Rangers, man, get on the Fix My Fleet channel on the Discord and or message me and Algared directly, and we'll go through it with you. Right, Kraken, do you think we'll see any variants of the 400i like we have with the 100, 300, especially if there is a longer range racing like you suspect the Zeus? It's entirely possible. It is entirely possible. It really is. I kind of sit here and now think about it. We got the 600 series that's got 2 variants. Yeah, it is entirely possible.
If you look at the naming convention in Origin ships, the I was the indication that there were variants.
It would also would give a lot of credence to there being the ST. I could see Origin doing a racing. It is in their warehouse.
Yep.
Makes a lot of sense. And it could be something they've been held over. Like we said, we think the ST was held over because if you were going to put out a bunch of racing ships, at least 2 or 3 need to go out at the same time so they can compete with each other. Also, as soon as you go into that medium ship class, it puts it into the endurance racing category. And so as a part of Pyro going live, you could all of a sudden see they want to have a race that goes all around Stanton, all around Pyro, and it's this massive race that takes you all day. And if you do it, do it in your new ship, one of 3 new ships or whatever, maybe they put them out as loaners so everyone can compete. And if you win that ship or something like that. Whatever event they do. I pretty much sure it'll be a publishing marketing campaign type of. You speak to your
I could do something like that too.
Once they get hype it up,
systems up, yeah. But as I said, you look at Origin's naming convention, the idea of the I at the end of the number, 100i, 200i, 300i, 400, etc. The I indicated, certainly in the law, that there were variants. So by the 400i naming, you would expect there to be variants. But
do you give up the and I'm just trying to think of variants, right? You feel free to shoot me down here. They get rid of the bike bay on the racing variant and it gives it a bigger engine, like some kind of booster thing or whatever,
Get rid of the
you lose
storage.
Well, no, you'd need the storage at the back because you need refueling and stuff like that. That's why. So one of the arguments that came out when you and I started talking about it as a racing variant was, why would you have cargo on a racing ship? Because you need supplies and repairs.
Okay. Yep.
Because a part of that endurance racing is someone like and then the other thing was, why does it have turrets? Because like in the what the hell is the name of that in the pod racing, they got shot at by natives. If you're going through Pyro, you're going through dangerous areas, and pirates may attack you trying to stop you. So that's how that's a part of the race, is defending yourself as well. And it all made sense to me, and it all just came from the pod racing type of stuff from Star Wars. Like, it all started to make sense. You had multiple people, the turrets, you have a co-pilot, you have an engineer, you're repairing, you're doing that all the way along. The engineer's trying to get as much performance out of this particular section. You're going through a nebula pulsar, so he's got to remodulate the shields so they work in this. You can see the gameplay. It makes itself. It all of a sudden takes racing from a freaking loop to an actual event and teamwork and all that type of things. And you can think of all the stereotypes. Think of all the sci-fi shows you've ever watched that has a race in it. Every single one of them's had one at some point, and they have a special area of space they've got to through, or a special gadget they've got to put onto the ship so they can get through that sector or whatever. Star Wars had them, Star Trek's had them. Like I could just see all that gameplay, and that is a different level of race than a loop.
Yep.
And that's all we've had up until now.
Jim Pastor said the Stanton 7 X is talking about a bigger race, like an inter-system race.
Yeah, like
Pyro. But
eventually, I can see this going. Like, I eventually could see a race going from one side of the known system to the other, and it might take it like 2 days, and you would actually have to have people log in and log off as you fly across the system.
A bit like the American Cup.
Didn't they say, Algared, way back in the day? You can speak to this more than me because I'm not into the racing as much as you. But didn't they say that they wanted to have races of all size classes of ships?
I can't remember if CIG said that. Certainly something that we've pushed for in Anzio racing.
But can you? But what I'm saying is, so if you have a multi-system, so it's 2 or 3 systems. As I said, I could also see a need for racing ships that are large. You know, like Galaxy and Caterpillar sized, and it is a massive race that requires Sydney to Hobart, Algared. You know where they have a whole crew on the boat racing from Sydney to Hobart. The same thing, but it's across the. Like, they said it would take 22 days to visit every system in the game. Can you imagine if that was a race? Visit every system in the game. First person to do so wins this. And, you know, they do it in a Caterpillar or whatever, 600i or whatever, you know? You get where I'm going with this, right? Massive crew.
As I said, it's like the original America's Cup. That was transatlantic race from America to England. It was basically using the cutters, the fast ocean-going speed ships. You know, that was the race.
You can turn around. So first time chatter Space Ting says it sounds like opium, but again, the Zeus ST is a thing. Like, we've seen pictures of it. That they essentially leaked it themselves. You can look at other ships in the medium size class. There is ones that would work, like the 400i. So you can have a 400. It'll be a 450R. The name already writes itself because we have a 350R, right? So it'll be a 450R, and then we also know that there's that Mirai ship coming, right? What they call it?
Whatever you want to call it, the big thing.
They had a name for it, but I've forgotten it, right? And you could see that in just like the Fury in 2 variants. You would have the whatever it's called. I think it was called the Guardian. So let's just say it's called the Guardian, right? So you could have the Guardian, but then you could have a Guardian LX, which would be the racing variant. So then all of a sudden, that's a medium ship. So now we've got 3 medium ships. That's what you need to kick off the start of a racing league. And there's nothing to say you couldn't add a freelance. Well, the Mirai would be the one, but again, Freelancer Durs in there. There's nothing to say you couldn't add other manufacturers.
They could do that, but the fact that already you have the Stanton 7, which is basically a race that goes all around Stanton, that's being organised by players, means it'll happen. The fact that you've got the endurance races that Anzio does, you know, the Crux Cup, says it'll happen. Like when they put in the races on Crusader, the devs actually went in and moved some of the stuff they'd put in for the small races because it was stuffing up the Crux Cup track. So they're keen to see those races go and those endurance races go. If they're supporting them already in-game and supporting people who are doing those races, like the Daymar Rally, like the Crux Cup, like the Stanton 7, if they're already supporting and encouraging players to do that and organise those, it's not inconceivable for them to actually create ships that will actually function better at that. So, yeah, it could be hopium, but I think it just falls into the pattern of what they're already doing. So, yeah.
I'm trying to. Here we go. So, this is how we know it's a thing. So it was actually. Hang on, give me 2 seconds. Got to open up 2 things here. I can flick over to it. Hang on. So this is the original. People thought it was called the Zeus status, but it just meant Zeus status is in the status overall. This is actually one of the this is actually a CitizenCon slide, I guess you could call it. And that was actually, you can go back and look that in the talk. This was in the talks. So we know the ST is a thing, right? And they also had this one that was up on the page for a very brief time before it was taken down. And it had that in. And then they replaced it where this one moved over to here. And so there was just the 3 of them. So we know the ST is a thing because they leaked it. This is not a leak. They leaked it, right? And again,
this was a CIG pick that had been one of. So we know there were 4 variants.
Yeah. So if you go back, like they didn't scrub this from all their video footage or change it over or anything, so it still exists. So they've gone like, oh damn, we've let it slide. But why would you cut a racing variant when it looks like it's pretty well concepted right there? And I'm pretty sure they're building this out at the same time. And it's because, again, you got to start to think it's a new form of racing, and you can't just go, here's a racing ship that's medium and put it next to all the small ones. It'll be completely outclassed. Why would you have a medium racer? And the only thing that makes sense that I've come up with and that Algared's come up with and that other people have looked at is long distance endurance. Because why do you need those extra crew on the ship? And it's because of performance, repairs, all that. And even look at the shot in the screenshot. This is a racing ship that's being shot at. It's the Tusken Raider is trying to stop them getting through.
Here's another ship we've already got in game that kind of fits that role for a medium-sized ship racer. The Mercury Star-Runner.
Yep. I could totally see that as a racing variant.
Ship, long endurance.
Yep.
It already ticks the boxes.
Yep.
So
the MSRR.
So it's not
Mercury Star Racer or whatever.
Yeah, it's not really that insane to suggest medium-sized ships as racers, or
and you and I even said, well, what are you doing in this when you're not racing? It's a perfect drug runner because it's built for speed.
Yeah, it's a competitor to the,
and it's got the guns to shoot its way through. Like
it's as competitor to the Mercury Star-Runner.
Yeah, in many ways, yeah. And I would also argue the Mirai variant would do the same. And it's probably, maybe it's got less cargo or something like that. You got to look at the variants, and give them all a little place to exist, don't you?
And I think if we've got the Mercury Star-Runner can do the data running and speed and has that long endurance, there'll be other ships that do a similar thing because they want that variation. They don't just want the one ship to be doing it. They want lots of things to be doing.
Yeah. So the first time chabber space thing, you can call me on copium, but explain to me why that's a thing then, because at some point it's not copium because that thing exists. It's right there on your screen. You cannot tell me it doesn't.
While we think there's a racer, yes, you could be right. It may not be a racer, but there's certainly one there. We tend to think racing makes sense. So we could be wrong. That's okay. We can live with that. Oracle. When the Legionnaire has its hacking, boarding gameplay, do you think the Prowler will get a similar pass with similar capabilities?
No. It's just boarding, and they're very different. There's no docking on the Prowler.
Yeah, the Prowler, if a Prowler is the original boarding ship that the Tavaran used, what they would do is they'd basically take the ship up under stealth, and they'd literally have the guys jump out onto little skateboards and skate down to the ship and then board the ship stealthily, and then break into the ship and stuff everything up. But I'm not sure that the Prowler is that ship. I think the Prowler is more their Apache helicopter. They're putting a team in and on land and stuff. I could be wrong, but I don't see the gameplay as being the same as the Legionnaire. I think the Legionnaire is better fits the role that was envisaged for Redeemer on the Javelin as being the transport for the Marines, so you could actually do boarding operations.
Right, Pinker...
Similar but different roles.
Pinkaboo Panda says, question, I will preface this by saying I get why CIG went the route of putting a ton of ships for players out to buy, but how plausible do you guys think it is for a ton of players to own a ton of ships instead of owning 1 or 2 ships that you can add to and truly make your own unique ship. I don't think a citizen in the world of SC would own a ton of different ships. I think a lot of the hardcore players own more ships than most, but I think you're right. Most regular people just own an Aurora.
Most people will own a ship. And the original idea was, you know, if you look at the ad for the Aurora, it was, yep, I've got my Aurora. Yep, this is my Aurora. Yeah, I want to have the large cargo module. Yeah, I'm going to put that on. And literally the upgrade options you had was to be able to take your base ship and turn it into whatever you wanted in that range. And the variants we were originally given were examples of what you could do. As backers, though, we just absorbed and bought everything. And CIG, I think, went, yeah, okay, we'll just sell everything. But yeah, the original idea was you'd upgrade your ship to be what you wanted. Anything to add on that?
No, kind of agree with. CitizenCon says, if Mark Hamill told you to melt all of your jabs at the Gala, would you do it?
So would you, X?
No.
There you go. X wouldn't sell all his jabs if Mark Hamill told him to sell.
He's just a human like anyone else. If you cut him, does he not bleed? That type of thing. I don't have that celebrity thing that other people have.
Yeah.
He's just a man. You know, someone I'd love to meet and say, love your work. I'm going to be honest.
My question would be why.
I'd be more excited to meet Henry Cavill because, like, I love all these Superman shit. So I don't know if you remember, my hat had Superman. Yeah. So I'd rather meet Henry than Mark personally. But yeah.
Oh, look, I'd like to meet them all.
Yeah. Why not? Shake the hand, say, love your work. Thanks very much for what you've done, and then move on. You know.
Gimli and you know, and Gollum. Yeah, great to meet them. If they were there, you know. But if Mark said, "Look, sell all your jabs," well, I think you should sell. I'd say, why? That would be my question. What's in it for me?
Yeah.
You know, if it was, oh well, you know, you melt all your jabs and get this ship, and if it was a ship I want, I'd say, yeah, okay. But yeah.
We're getting down to the last half an hour. We're down to pre-soul. So yeah, if you got some more questions, chuck them in. I'll chuck the bot off soonish.
Yeah, I would say chop the bot off now. And if you
I'll give him a couple minutes to get some in, then I'll chop it off. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
All right.
Pre-soul says, question, do you use sticks to play Star Citizen? HOTAS recommendations. No. Neither of you use sticks. I don't think sticks are the best idea because there are two parts to this game, flying and running around. And the biggest problem I have with sticks is it just takes too long to transition. Yeah, I don't really have intimate knowledge of sticks. I don't intend to get sticks. It's one of the things I've argued since the very beginning. I didn't understand. I think it's because they wanted money. They really lent into the whole flight sticks thing. But let's be honest, everyone that's playing here right now is probably going to be 10% of the people that eventually end up playing this game. And let's be honest, vast majority of people are never going to use sticks.
Yeah,
it's just it's a fact.
I've got a HOTAS.
Yeah.
I got the Warthog.
Yeah.
HOTAS. I played around with a bit. I liked it. I've only used it in Star Citizen. But I've got two problems. One is one you said there's transition time for when you're running around. But the other thing is just my setup. I can't if they're on death, the arms drop too high, so it makes it uncomfortable. And I just don't have the
way I fly to Algared, several people over the years have always said to me, "Are you flying with sticks?" Because of the way I move. So again, if you are good enough on a mouse and keyboard, you can almost, you pretty much can do what they do in the joysticks anyway. It's just what's comfortable for you. I know Pissball Pete loves his sticks. He got new sticks recently, so he might be someone. Pete, any recommendations for sticks for people if you're still around? But there are plenty of people in the community. I know they do a lot of mounts, like Predator mounts. We're friends with Topol there, and he But what brand of sticks did you get, Pete? Not just loves them wowies. What sticks did you get? But yeah, again, that someone else there, who was it that mentioned that? Someone said it. Sticks are really pricey. Hell, Regen said that. They're ridiculously expensive. They are on par with like proper, PC components, and I'd be putting money into those before I put them into sticks. There's a reason why the mouse and keyboard has not been beat, because it is the most versatile control system.
Yep.
BKBs or Virpils, don't cheap out on the Logitech ones. They break, which is what Pete obviously did the first time. So learn from Pete's mistake, and
Yep.
yeah. If you don't mind dropping the money, the Virpil Alphas are amazing. Okay, well, there you go. Virpil Alphas, that's Piss-Poor Pete's review in 5 seconds. Yeah.
But I did like certainly the throttle. I like the buttons on the throttle and being able to pre-program them.
Yeah.
But it becomes a hassle whenever, if you don't save it, every time there's a new patch, you had to redo it. That was so, and again, as I said, just because my setup would mean they're too high on the desk, so it's too uncomfortable long term, and then base. So,
I've just remembered I have a prior engagement that just came up on my thing. I'm meant to be going to play games with Space Tomato and Piggles, and it just came up on my thing. So we're gonna have to wrap this up. I totally forgot about it. We organized it about a month ago. So I'm gonna have to go because they're gonna get really shitty with me. We've only got about an hour to play games too, and so I unfortunately gonna have to go like you had to go last week. So yeah, I'm gonna call it here. There's about 6 questions. Oh, let's just let's shoot them out real quick. Thoughts on the Talons and light fighters with Saccharin shields? Yeah, that's just the Banu Defender shields. Yeah, no problem with that. What do you anything you think about
Banu
that?
Defender shields are basically Tavaran shields, but
Yep. That's fine. Again. Yeah, it's fine.
So harden the shields, they can stop everything.
Well, that's what Banu does. Banu take the best of everything and use it on their stuff. So as Algared said, they're just taking the Tavaran stuff and going the other way. Tencent, could we see the UI for upcoming alien ships on the next week's SL? Totally possible. But there's nothing to prove one way or the other. Kruth, and I'm just gonna Kruth. I'm gonna call him Kruth because that does not roll off my tongue. Do you have anything online about progressing to the Endeavor? No, the Endeavor will be right at the end. I have an LTI Fury, and I was thinking of working from. I'm sure to get these questions all the time. Hence, take a Fury and buy the Gemini to Endeavor upgrade, and then just take all the time you want to fill the gap. That's all you need to do.
So that's what you do.
$10 investment. That's all it costs you.
When you're looking at those, CCUs, get your start ship, your LTI token.
Yep.
Go to a ship you want, buy the cheapest CCU to that ship, and then take your time just buying Warbond CCUs because they're usually cheaper to fill in the gaps. And once you've got as many Warbond CCUs as you can in that bracket, that gives you the savings. Fill in any gaps with credit CCUs, and you're done.
Yeah. All right. Let's find something to raid real quick. Was there another question there, Algared, or did I?
Do you think they will implement orbital mechanics with 1.0? That's a commentator.
Orbital is in orbital bombardment, or what type of
orbital mechanics? So it could be anything. Well, orbit of planets, orbit of moons. I think they'll do it when they can.
Yeah, I'd expect it would be for 1.0, to be honest with you.
In answer to Citizen Scott, your question about badges, he decided he didn't want to be part of Inforunners because I think ultimately he didn't like the financial advice, the idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just said, no, I don't want to be part of it at this point in time. So
yeah, he didn't like recommending what other people do with their money, is what he said. And again, we're not telling you what you do with your money. We're just going, this is the, again, it's general advice. You don't have to do what we tell you. But yeah, he got held up on that. Yeah.
So he chose not to be part of Inforunners. So we wish him well.
Yep. All right, so we're gonna raid Yo-Yo Meg. Let me just get this typed in. I did hang out with her yesterday, or was it the day before, on the Yacht Club for their 5-year anniversary, which was interesting. It was like a huge silver Star Citizen in there, Algared, as I told you the other day. So yeah. But Algared, yeah. All right then. Anything you want to add, Algared, before we kind of say goodbye to Twitch? Twitch say goodbye to YouTube.
Bye, Twitch.
YouTube say goodbye to Twitch. You guys, thanks again, and we'll have an episode for you guys, and we'll see you guys next week. All right. Oh, don't forget, we'll probably stream tonight some gameplay.
We'll probably be streaming tonight.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys. All right. As for YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and thank you to everyone that went the extra mile on Patreon at the end of the video. Anything you want to add, Algared?
Nope.
All right.
See you then.
He's been Algared.
He's been Execute, and we're out of here. Take care.
See you, citizens. Bye.